NathanIvey.com. Mr. Ivey know the show must go on. As far as Cincinnati, man, I put on. Tunes made another flame beat for me to cook on. Raised arms, close fists, yeah, too strong. Team AI, chop it up at the chop shop. Top notch with the king flow, the hot shot. Cop squats in, listen to the real. Jumping like hopscotch, nobody harder than, oh, no, think not. Not only citywide, but nationwide. Superlatives, keep it locked like them Haitian guys. Put the truth in the airwaves, we talk about it. Brand new like the tent plates, let's be about it. Who got the info by the AM? Jono be the rapper, got them jamming when they play him. Staying in my lane, they ain't gotta okay him. Who the host with the scoop? Yeah, they gon' say him. Ivy, so superlative like a bag of drippos. Show you where the bricks at, Cincinnati Reds at. One time where my people at. Team NI where my people at. It's the 513, yeah, you know the flow. What's the word, Nate? Let them know the show. One time where my people at. Team NI where my people at.
All right, good morning, friends. Welcome back. Let's get back into it. Nathan Ivey with you, live, local, and vocal. I'm broadcasting live from a secret location somewhere in the Cincinnati area. I see people are commenting. At least one person commented that we're here a little early. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. I think I want to get back to an early morning time frame. So I'm going to ease myself back into it. So look for that. Look for that notification a bit earlier. Please like and share today's show. On today's show, I want to talk about numerous things. Shootings across America. There was at least 3 separate shootings that happened in a similar time frame across America. We got to discuss it. Loyalty test in marriages or relationships. You could take marriage out and put relationship. Loyalty tests in relationships. And are you at the table? Table. I was at the table yesterday. Were you? What is the table? I'll tell you all about it. 513-873-7134. Don't forget a word from our sponsors. If you're looking for a good place to eat, check out Wing Champ, the undisputed champion of all wings. This is Black owned. They're out in Sharonville. There's a link in today's description, and I'm sure they got something that will hit your stomach in a very nice fashion. You can maybe check them out for lunch, or maybe dinner, or maybe you're looking for the next spot for your business or your venue. Check them out. Again, a link is in today's description. Also, don't forget, coming up this Saturday over at the Coreyville Community Center, that's 2823 Eden Avenue here in Cincinnati, Ohio, 45219. Free event. It's a home ownership fair that is sponsored by GCRA. That's the Greater Cincinnati Realist Association. And they want to help you buy a home. The time is now. The window may be closing, but the time is now. And so you can ask questions and get a lot of information. That's Saturday, June the 4th. That's this Saturday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And of course, our friends over at Renew Community Church, they offer a Sunday morning masterclass this Sunday at 11:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Keep from losing your mind in a world gone crazy. Learn 7 steps to good mental health. You can tap in on Facebook, facebook.com/Cincy Renew. You can also tap in on YouTube at Renew Community Church. Good morning to you, friends. Good morning. And welcome back. Welcome back. We did it. We made another day. And yes, I'm here earlier. When I kicked off the show, what were we at 6? We was doing like 6 to 10, something crazy. I don't know what the hell I was thinking of, but I had a lot of fun with it. Am I planning on getting back to that? What is that? Oh. Am I planning on getting back to a 6 a.m. time frame? No, I am not. But at the very least, I want to start maybe getting back to like a 7 a.m. time frame. So a lot of stuff that's going on today. It's a lot of stuff to discuss. I've given you some of the 3 pillars I want to discuss, but in between that, we got a lot more, including planning on getting a phone call, maybe a Zoom style call from Kevin Aldridge. He is the opinion editor over at the Cincinnati Inquirer. He wrote a piece, an opinion piece, about his and his wife's journey in dealing with alopecia right after that whole thing happened with Chris Rock and Will Smith. And man, it just speaks to the power of media. And the piece was so powerful that it caught the attention of Jada Pinkett Smith and her crew. You know, they do a very popular podcast called the Red Table, I think, podcast or Red Table Talk. And he and his wife was actually invited to go out to Los Angeles. Yeah, he told me the whole situation. He's swore me to secrecy. I couldn't say anything about it, but we talked about it a few weeks back, man. I was like, man, that is super cool. But we're here to talk about, he's going to give us a Zoom call this morning at about 8. It's in the 8 a.m. hour. I want to say 8:30 a.m. this morning, and talk about, his journey, his and his wife's journey, and also the experience meeting Jada Pinkett Smith and being on the Red Table Talk. As a matter of fact, I think the series is going to drop today. It drops today. So that'll be very interesting. I told you somebody in Cincinnati was getting national attention. So I'm looking forward to that conversation at about 8:30 a.m. approximately this morning. Along the way, you got yours truly, People, Politics, and Pleasure, from one man with one mic. We'll break it down. Let's start with this. Shootings across America. 3 simultaneous shootings happened on Wednesday, less than 2 weeks after Uvalde, Texas. 4 people were killed in Tulsa. A student was shot in Los Angeles, and a woman was targeted at a nail salon in Pennsylvania. And so there's going to be a hyper attention to what's happening in terms of shooting right after, everything happened in Uvalde. And it still tugs on my heartstrings, man. I'm like, wow, that's the phone call that every parent doesn't want to get. And that's what you fear, that you send your kid to school and something terrible happens at the school that's out of your control, and your child's life is in jeopardy, or I don't even want to speak on it, but like something happens and your child loses their life. That is the fear of every parent. That's the kind of stuff that keeps you up at night. You know what I'm saying? That's the kind of stuff that keeps you up at night. And every time I see it, it just tugs at me. Every single time. You got my phone number down the bottom there on the scroller, 513-873-7134, if you want to share your thoughts this morning. 3 shootings across America. The one that happened in Tulsa, the alleged gunman, as I understand, actually killed himself. It happened at a medical building in Tulsa, Oklahoma. A gunman carrying a rifle and a handgun opened fire on a hospital campus just before 5 p.m., wounding several others before he died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Sounds like, I don't know, mental health. I'm only speculating here. Just before that, Los Angeles police are reporting that shots were fired outside of Grant High School in Van Nuys. The unknown gunman fired 3 or 4 shots from a vehicle, and a 10th grader was shot in the leg and taken to the hospital. In Pittston Township, Pennsylvania, a 20-year-old woman was shot at a nail salon. Police said it was attempted suicide, attempted homicide. She was taken to a hospital, and the extent of her injuries at this point is still unknown. But like I said, and I think we all know this, the politics are so gridlocked. The special interests have so much power that I don't have any real confidence that anything's going to come out of Congress because it can't get through the Senate. Right now, the Democrats have a majority, and we can speculate as to what they're going to do with that and what that actually means. Well, I mean, it doesn't mean anything if it can't get through the U.S. Senate. That's why the Ohio U.S. Senate race means everything. J.D. Vance, Tim Ryan, it means everything. It means everything if you're trying to see some progress in terms of like policy and things like that from the federal level, from the national level. I mean, there's things that perhaps can be done on the state level. But I mean, still here in Ohio, our state legislatures are not worried about that. The response from state legislatures is they just passed a bill that would allow teachers to be armed, even though it appears that a lot of teachers don't want to be armed. That's the response from the Ohio State Legislature from the shootings. Uvalde, they're like, oh, well, if teachers had guns, then maybe they could stop it. And I mean, you had police officers that get outgunned. See, the difference between a teacher being armed and a psycho sicko is the psycho sicko knows when it's gonna go down. They've got the element of surprise. They might be walking through with body armor. They might even have some homemade grenades. They got the element of surprise. But how many people think that's a good idea? I think it's a terrible idea. If you arm teachers in Ohio, then when I go to my parent-teacher conference, I'm going to be strapped too. Because I don't know. Teachers have too much shit on their crown already. They got too much shit on their dome. Now you want to add to it that they got to be what? Some type of bodyguard, armed escort, contractor. That's just out of their wheelhouse. And it ain't going to change shit. I don't believe it's going to change anything at all because there's a big difference between being out on the range, shooting at paper targets, and being in an active shooter situation. It's a big difference. But that's what the Ohio State Legislature is coming up with. Yep. It just happened. It's being reported this morning. So they want to arm the teachers. That'll keep everybody safe. I don't believe it one bit. I don't believe it one bit. Good morning to you. 513-873-7134. Wait. Shaba writes, you extra this morning. I hit the throwback. Nathan Ivey is back or nah? Yeah, we might go back to that. Graston writes, good morning, comrades. World Cup 2026. Renee's in the house. Good morning. Extra early this morning. Oh, shit, the throwback Nathan Ivey show. Okay. Yeah, we get back to the throwback Nathan Ivey show. Let's get back to that. Deshaun writes, good morning on the early side. Yeah. I think that I want to push the show earlier. I think we need a little earlier start. I'm up anyway. Joe writes, good morning, Nathan Choppers. Fame writes, I'm having a great day. I hope yours is better. Read it again. We got it. Carmelita writes, good morning, Nathan and Choppers. Here getting my treatment. Gladys writes, good morning, Nathan Choppers. Beautiful Thursday, Fruit Thursday. I love that. Fruit every day. Brian writes, morning, GSW. Dale writes, I never watched a Red Table Talk episode, and this will not be an exception. Yeah, to each their own. Brandy writes, good morning. Dale writes, the gunman was black. His intention was to kill a doctor, but when he couldn't find him, he started shooting people around him and then himself. Wow. Carmelita writes, nothing. Dims play too nice. Patricia writes, good morning. Anthony writes, good morning. Jasmine's in the house. Hey, good morning, Jasmine. She writes, arming teachers is a horrible idea. I just saw her yesterday. I was over at a table. Some folks are coming together. Table is an acronym, and they're coming together to benefit the Black community here in the city of Cincinnati. I'll give you more details. Are you at the table? And I've been talking about it for years. I'm glad to see I ain't the only one who feels this way, but Cincinnati has silos. You got people over here, they work together. People over here, they work together. People over here, they rock together. People over here. And I love hearing one of the founding members recognize that and said we want to bridge those silos. I love that idea. I love it. Brian writes, you got teachers out here sleeping with kids and having their babies. Now you're wanting to give them guns? Right. Right. Number one, I don't trust it for two reasons. One, they got other things to worry about. You know what I'm saying? Like, Cincinnati public school teachers, I want them to be 100% focused on academics. We got an academic crisis within CPS. Focus on that. Number two, there are some teachers people who happen to be teachers who don't have the emotional and mental well-being and stability to deal with it. I have dealt with it firsthand. I have sat across the table with teachers who have lost you-know-what on children. Lost it. Talking about I got stuff going on in my personal life. Huh? You're supposed to be a freaking professional. And the last thing I want to do is put a weapon in their hand. Like I said, if you arming teachers, then when parents go to parent-teacher conferences, we should be allowed to bring our weapons into the room. Because we might have to defend ourselves from teachers. You ain't heard that before, huh? That's something different. Yeah. Yes, I'll say it again. And then thirdly, it ain't going to change a damn thing. You ain't going to stop it. I don't believe it'll stop it one bit. I don't believe it will stop it one bit. Not one bit. I don't think it's going to stop the next shooting. Not at all. I think what'll probably happen more likely is that somebody is going to either not properly store their weapon. It'll get in the hands of the wrong student, and or a situation pops off. The teacher is not trained enough, and they're going to end up killing somebody's child. Oops, my bad, my mistake. That's what I think. I would much prefer some other measures than arming teachers. But, there's some folks in the state of Ohio that's already underway doing this shit. I believe there's some teachers out there that are armed anyway, even though they know they're not supposed to. But they're like, well, fuck it. It's better to be judged by 12 than be carried by 6 type shit. Just like the ethos of the streets. They just haven't gotten to a confrontation where they had to brandish their weapon and, put it out there that they have it. But I believe that 100%. I just believe it. I don't have any evidence, haven't heard anything. Nobody's told me anything. I just believe it. I know human beings. And it ain't going to change shit because the gunman has the element of surprise and chaos and confusion, which means they always have the upper hand. You know what I'm saying? Look at what happened with that shooting at the supermarket. You had a former police officer that got shot and killed. He engaged the shooter, but guess what? The shooter was more prepared. He had full body armor. All you're going to do is get more people killed. That's just my thoughts. But that's what the Ohio State legislature has done as a response. Dell writes, it's a terrible idea. And inner city schools is going to be on the bad end of this terrible idea. Black children will be the victims of a no patience teacher. I can see that happening. I can see it. Carmelita writes, they aren't being forced to carry, though. It's still voluntary. Yeah, I know that. Jasmine writes, morning. She writes, so awesome to see you yesterday. It was a wonderful event. Same to you, sister. It was great to see you. And I thought it was a good event as well. I love to see what they do with it. I mean, anything that's about us on some positive shit, I'm with it. I keep saying that. I'm with it. I know who I am. So I'm with the business, 100%. Marisha's in the house. She writes, good morning. Nikki writes, good morning, everyone. TNT writes, good morning. She writes, it's a liability. Kelly writes, good morning. Jasmine writes, are they looking to give armed teachers qualified immunity as well? So that means they mistakenly kill somebody. They can't be sued and held personally responsible. Bad idea. Carmelita writes, and they already can carry. The new rule changed the amount of training time from several hundred hours to 20. 20 hours. That makes perfect sense, right? Anthony writes, they have already lessened restrictions in school zones. I believe you can have your weapon in your car now. Maybe parents carrying inside will be coming. So again, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, we're already dealing with the proliferation of guns. So some people think that the proper prescription is more guns. That doesn't make any sense. Give me an example where that makes sense. That's like saying, you know what? Your body's breaking down because you're eating too much junk food. So we're going to prescribe you to eat more junk food. Where does that make sense at? But this is the world we live in. Dale writes, all the government has to do is provide funding to upgrade building security to these schools across the country. Bulletproof doors and windows, electronic doors, and police present. It's a no-brainer. Barbara writes, the academic crisis is whites giving our black children a watered-down education filled with lies. Malcolm X said it best. Never let your oppressor teach your kids. Anthony writes, he didn't have the right equipment or use any other tactics. Is that right? Tanika writes, good morning, Nathan Choppers. Here locally, there's something else brewing. I was seeing there's some movement on that PG Sittenfield case. Of course, PG Sittenfield is a former city council person, and the federal government is alleging that he was basically selling his votes for campaign donations to a PAC. But I read a couple of articles. One article I read says that he and his team turned down a plea deal that would have either given him probation or no more than 2 years. That tells me he feels like he got a good case and or he innocent. And then secondly, I read that, and we'll talk more about this as the trial happens later this month. I read that apparently the prosecution has a witness, and this witness is somebody who formerly worked in the PG Sittenfield office or something like that. I don't know who the person is. It just has their initials in the article I read this morning. But PG's defense team doesn't want that person to be able to testify. And I was reading the article this morning like, this is going to be interesting to see how this all shapes out. It really does. And I've already told you how I feel about it. It'll be very interesting. That's a very thin line there, right? Because to me, what they are alleging that he did, it seems like all politicians do. You know, that's what it seems like to me on the surface. So it'll be interesting to see what the government's case is and what this really means. It'll be very interesting. Remember, there was 3 council members. I love seeing Tamaya Denard. I saw her images that she posted on social media. I love seeing. I'm glad the sister is out. I hate to see anybody do any kind of time for anything, being locked up for some silly shit. But you know, you do the crime, you gotta do the time. I get it. But I'm glad to see she's out. I'm gonna give her some time and I'll reach out for an interview. I ain't trying to hit her. She just got back. I ain't trying to hit her with no interview request right now. But we shall see. But some updates. I bring that up about PG Sittenfield because shit, give it 3 weeks. That's what everybody gonna be talking about. It's gonna be the biggest local story, so we might as well get to it. And how do you feel about loyalty tests in relationships? Have you seen these videos? That's like I've seen these videos where like somebody will like go out and they'll meet a couple and they'll say like, do you trust each other? And they'll be like, yeah, I trust her. You trust him? Yeah, I trust him. Okay, well, switch phones. And then they'll switch phones and allow the other person to go through the messages. And I recently saw a video and it didn't turn out too good, or maybe it turned out great. It depends on how you look at it. Either way, I've got the video for you and I got a question for you as well. But we'll get to that. So a lot of ground to cover this morning. But let's kick it off with a phone call, shall we? Good morning. Welcome to the show. Hold on one second, comrade. I want to make sure he said good morning, comrade. It's Black Russia. Hold on one second. Make sure I got you plugged into the masses. All right, brother. I think I got you plugged in. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Hey,
Welcome.
I just wanted you to know that you need to watch if you got time, watch the county commission at 1:00.
Okay. Why
They're
is
going to
that?
be voting on whether or not they want to sign a contract with FIFA to bring World Cup to Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. You said
And so
1:00?
that's why I was kind of 1:00. They're going to have a vote. It's a contract they got to sign with FIFA in order to even be in the selection process. In terms of like investing a certain amount of money to make sure the stadium is compliant with the field regulations and all that. And the economic impact is supposed to be about $430 million approximately.
Okay. You said how much is the economic impact?
Supposedly over $400 million, about 430 something million dollars.
Okay. That sounds good. I know you all about the soccer, man. So you're in favor of this, am I right?
That's correct. I was watching USA yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, on the
They play it
surface, it
down at
sounds like it'd be a
TQL.
good look for the city. Why not?
Well, there's been some concern because people say it's an open-ended deal. So, like, whatever FIFA say at that point in time, you got to do. Now, they did say about $10 million we're going to have to spend to renovate the stadium for soccer specificity on the field. But we already got that money in the with the stadium tax. So supposedly we got like $42 million in the stadium tax already. So we just got to put $10 million to renovate the field. And then after that, of course, there'll probably be some more investment, but the return on investment is supposed to be massive. But there's been some rumblings. The only one I'm sure that's going to vote for it, from my reading, is Denise Driehaus. Not sure how recent Dumas is going to vote.
Well, they just need one, so we shall see. $10 million to is it retrofit or the soccer to make the bingo stadium soccer ready? $10 million bucks? Damn.
Yeah, because FIFA expanded the field regulations. Like at first when it was built, it was supposed to be for soccer, but since '96, FIFA's expanded the field. So our stadium is kind of dated in terms of the field specificity. So they're gonna have to spend money to like get into the concrete to take some seats out to expand the field.
Yeah, I mean, on the surface, it sounds like that'd be a good look for the city. You know, so that's soccer's international World Cup. When would the actual event be? Do you know?
2026.
2026. So, I mean, yeah, for the folks that's already set up for businesses or they've got an idea for business, I think that could be something good on the surface. I don't have any details, but it sounds like a good look for the city.
Yeah, well, they were writing about it in the Inquirer. If you want the details, I think it's worth a read.
I will check that out for sure. Anything else?
But that's it, man. The gun situation ain't gonna change. So we just gotta grin and bear it. Waiting for game 1 tonight. So hey.
Who takes game 1?
The Golden Empire. Warriors.
The Golden Empire. Okay.
You know what? When it's all said and done.
I'm a little sick of Golden State. I'm a little sick of them. And I'm a little sick of them because I don't like the way they treated Kevin Durant. I don't like this. I've been paying attention to this back and forth between Draymond Green and Kevin Durant. Now, here are the facts. The facts is that Golden State was up 3-1 against the Cleveland Cavaliers, and they lost. They lost. And they lost against LeBron James when he was sitting on his crown at the top of his powers. They knew they could not beat that man. So they ran out and got Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant comes to the team, helps them beat. The only reason why they beat LeBron the next year is because they had Kevin Durant. Without him, it never would have happened. And I felt like Draymond Green was super disrespectful to that brother, calling them bees and we won without you and all this other kind of stuff. When y'all went to go get him because he was the last resort to beat LeBron. So I hate
they already beat LeBron. Well, they beat LeBron once though. I mean, be fair.
Yeah, they beat LeBron when LeBron was hobbled.
Games.
You know, Kevin Love was hurt and Kyrie was hurt. If both those players was in there, it would have been a whole different series. So everybody run around like this the Empire. They beating teams that's got that's been devastated by injury, but then they want to stand back and act like and put their chest out. I don't like it. And I don't like these conversations about who's a better player, Steph or LeBron. It ain't even no question. It's no question that LeBron is a better player than Steph Curry. I just don't like it. And so because of that, I'm rooting for the Celtics.
Well, if Steph win this one, I mean, you will put LeBron and Steph in the same conversation.
No, I would not.
Never. You would have to. You would have to.
No, you wouldn't have to,
bro.
No, you wouldn't have to. Never.
He got 2 MVPs. And he'll have 4 rings. He'll have the same number of rings LeBron got. He'll have more MVPs regular season. So yeah, you have to talk about that. No. There's only 6 players. I was watching this the other day. There's only 6 players that got 4 titles and 2 MVPs. LeBron's one of them. But Jordan, Kareem. I mean, he's in rare air if he wins the series.
I hate this. I hate these conversations. When I turn on sports media, they be trying to compare the players, and they get the shit all wrong. Steph Curry could never and is never and will never and has never been a better basketball player than LeBron James. Ever. Never. It ain't. He good, but he is not on LeBron's level. Never. And never could be.
Bro, they win this series. Steph Curry be top 10 all time in NBA history. He'll be top 10. He'll be very arguable.
Those are people who don't know no better. Those are people, those listed don't know no better. They don't know no better.
I watched him in college, bro. Did you see him in college at Davidson?
He's all right. He ain't no LeBron James, though.
He went to the Elite Eight by his damn self. But
man,
nobody.
Steph Curry could never do what LeBron James has done. Steph Curry's a great player, but he is not on LeBron's level. If you flip, if you take Steph Curry off his team and put him on LeBron's team, and take LeBron and put him on Steph's team, the team that LeBron's team gets better, and the team that Steph is on gets worse. So here's what I'm asking. Here's what I'm saying to you. So that series when Golden State was up 3-1 and then lost to the Cavs, if you flip Steph for LeBron, it would have been a sweep. It would have been a sweep.
Those are hypotheticals, bro.
Yeah, but tell me I'm wrong, though. Tell me I'm wrong about that. If you put LeBron James on the Golden State Warriors, them they winning straight championships. If you take Steph Curry and then put him on Cleveland Cavaliers, they ain't even getting to the championships with that same team. If you take Steph Curry and put him on Miami, they ain't winning no championships. That's how you have to look at it. Because basketball is a team sport. No one man is doing anything by themselves. It ain't happening. Steph has had the benefit of playing with a consistent one team for years and years and years. LeBron been jumping around trying to find better teams. But even saying that, if you take LeBron and put him on the Warriors get better. And if you take Steph and put him on any team LeBron was on, that team gets worse. There's no way they're in the same conversation at all. But I understand, that's what people in sports media like to do. And he's got 4 MVPs. Well, if he all that, then why didn't they beat Toronto? If he all that, thanks for the call, brother. If he all that, why did he beat Toronto? I think he hung up. No, he's still on the line. You still there? I don't hear you. Call me back. Something's going on. I hate those conversations, man. Hate it. It ain't nowhere close. Those are people that just, I don't know. Sometimes you watch ESPN, you could tell they don't got shit to talk about because they come up with these ridiculous questions. And I just hate the showboating of Golden State. Now you're going to play Kevin Durant when y'all ran out begging this man to come play with you to beat LeBron. Come on now. And then you win a couple championships, you get back there, and now you want to act like you didn't need him. I don't like that. Now you want to lessen what he brought to the table. They had to run out and get Kevin Durant to even compete against LeBron when he was at Cleveland. So for anybody watching, tell me I'm wrong. To my sports people, that's the real test of who's the better player. That's a real test. You up 3-1 in the finals. Never happened before. You need one game. and you lose to the Cleveland Cavaliers, and you won 73 games that year, and you had home field advantage. Where was it? And you had all your powers. The whole team, the whole squad was there. Nah, please. But I get it. A lot of novices in sports, they need to sort of come up with these tests and who's better and all. It ain't even no question. Is Kevin Durant a better player than Steph Curry? Are you losing your mind? You don't know basketball. It couldn't be. It could not ever be. Steph is an awesome player. I like him. Babyface assassin. Ain't even close. It ain't even close. And everybody knows the real linchpin for that team is Draymond. That's the real linchpin of the team. But it's all good, though. I mean, to the victor goes the spoils. You're on the team. You the man. You winning. Then everybody going to look at you. But when people make those ridiculous, I know Brian is spitting mad right now. I know Brian like, what is he saying? Yeah, I said it. It ain't even close. It ain't even close. LeBron be leading teams. Steph is a part of the team. It ain't even close. And history has shown us that. Am I biased? I don't think so. That's just the facts. You know what I'm saying? That's just the facts. I know Brian is spitting mad this morning. Oh, man. Anthony writes, PG claim is a hostile witness. That's not what I read. What I read, Anthony, is that PG's team is saying that this witness, somebody that worked in his office, who I read this morning, is allegedly able to testify about the way he did things, which, I mean, coming from your office, that could be very damning. But from what I read, PG's defense team is saying that they got the information about this witness too late, and that the government didn't reveal all of their information up front the way they were supposed to do. So they were asking the judge to not let this witness speak. We'll see what happens. Like I said, everybody's going to be talking about in about 3 weeks. 3-4 weeks. Good morning to you. Dale writes, did y'all see the former police chief in Addiston got 3-year probation for dealing assault rifles? Shaking my damn head. I did see that. Pat writes, sidebar, I wonder if Pastor X has found a new lawyer. That's a sad situation. Here you are fighting for your life and your reputation and your liberty, and your lawyer getting caught up in dumb shit. Your lawyer's doing dumb shit. So now, so yeah, Jeff Pastor had to find a new lawyer, which can't be good for your case. You got to start from basically zero because your lawyer's doing dumb stuff. I mean, just nuts, man. Carmelita writes, these loyalty tests are hilarious. If they know they're cheating, why participate? That's a really good question because you can't say no. Because you can't say no. So what happens is, and this is like a new YouTube thing, and I'm here for it because it's entertaining on some levels. But I'll play this for you in just a second. It's kind of playing right now. Let me stop it. I'll play this for you so you can check this out. So what they do
what's your name?
Is they'll go out, meet a couple, and they videotape all of this, and they'll say like, look, are you guys in a relationship? Are you guys married? This couple happened to be married. And they'll say, okay, do y'all trust each other? They always say, yeah, because you can't say no. Because once you say no, we got a problem. And they got to kind of go along with it. And then they'll say, okay, well, give him your phone and then give her her phone. Like they'll switch phones. And they'll go through the messages. And I've just seen a lot of them where they just kind of go real bad. And I want you to check this out. And I think that loyalty test, maybe we should all do loyalty tests in our relationships. Maybe this is a good thing. I don't know. Check this out.
What's your name?
I'm Victoria.
What's your name?
Diz.
So y'all couple?
We are.
Okay. Y'all married or y'all just?
We just married.
Married for how long?
August will be a year.
Damn, it took you a long time now.
A year.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So since y'all married and all that, I assume that y'all trust each other, right? Y'all trust, right?
Yeah.
What you say, bro?
You trust her, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I want y'all.
Huh? Yeah.
Oh wow. Y'all switch phones for 1 minute. So who going first? Oh, he said. Oh. Oh. What?
Who is Reggie?
That was fast as
Who is Reggie?
Who is Santana?
Santana. Reggie.
Santana is Santana. I said, who is Reggie?
he said, who is Reggie? She's like, who is Santana? Now, I don't know about you, but to me, Santana is a boy's name. Santana's a boy's name. So as soon as she was like, well, who's Santana? I'm like, huh? And it goes all bad from there. Check this out.
I mean, he did ask first.
Reggie is Reggie.
Reggie, it's Reggie. You know you got a problem when you ask, well, who's Reggie? And the response is, Reggie is Reggie. You already know it's all downhill from here, bro. It's all downhill. Check this out.
We're gonna call Reggie.
Who that?
He ain't answer.
Who Reggie?
My friend?
Who you know Reggie?
I don't know Reggie, bro.
If you don't know Reggie, that's not your friend.
I don't know who Santana is, but I seen her pop up.
She said, I don't know who Santana is, but I seen her pop up. Am I wrong, family? I mean, I haven't traveled the world. I have yet to travel the world. But Santana is a boy's name. David Stu, we said Reggie is the tutor. You're wrong for that. That Reggie is a tutor.
How you know Santana is a her?
I just assume.
But assume.
Yeah. You assuming who is Reggie? I'm assuming who is Santana.
Yeah, you're assuming that Reggie's a boy, a male. Now, I've lived long enough to realize that when you confront somebody about something and they start talking gibberish and just saying anything, that they're hiding something. Who's Reggie? Well, who's Santana?
Who's Reggie? We asked a question. We didn't assume, we asked.
Well, and I'm asking who Santana is.
It was nice seeing you today. I would love to see you again tomorrow.
I've been with you today.
This was May 23rd.
What's today's date?
It's May 28th.
Today's 28th.
I'll tell you what.
So you finna take my ring off?
I'm gonna take my ring off. Give it back to you, player, Pinky. Can you just
Dan, the band too?
you can get Reggie or damn Curse to buy you another one. I'm gonna tell you the truth. They bet you to put on the shop too.
Whoa.
I appreciate your assistance today, big dog.
Hilarious. Said, I appreciate your assistance, big dog. He said, who is Santana? I'll say it again. He said, she was caught red-handed. And you always know somebody caught red-handed when they just start saying anything. She's just making up anything. Well, you just assuming this saying, you assuming Reggie is a guy. Hilarious, man. But maybe loyalty tests in relationship are a good thing. I mean, I love the way dude had. Nikki writes, but notice he never answered her question. I mean, I don't think he had to answer the question, Nikki. It was clear. It was clear. Talking about who is Santana. I think it was clear. Who is Santana? I don't know, y'all. I mean, does Santana sound like a boy's name or a girl's name? I don't know. Sounds like a boy's name to me. Or what are you accusing him of? Being a homosexual now? He's gay? Like I said, I don't know, man. Would you ever do a loyalty test? That's out here destroying black relationships. You destroying black relationships. I don't think that he's destroying black relationships. You know, he just uncovered some shit in the relationship that somebody was hiding. I don't think so. But you're in a relationship today. I know women named Santana. I don't know any men with that name. Really? You know women named Santana? Huh. Cruther writes, Santana could be a girl's name. Really? Huh. Again, I haven't traveled the world. Santana could be a girl's name. Santana is a Spanish name, the patron saint of unmarried women, housewives, grandmothers, and women of labor. Okay. How popular is the last? See, I've heard Santana more as a last name. So I don't really know. David writes, Santana is the bartender on P Valley. Let me look this up. I never watched P Valley, so I don't know. P Valley. Images. Let me see here. Oh, maybe I should be watching P Valley. Why haven't I been watching P Valley? That's the real question. Huh. What's the P stand for? Huh. Tabitha writes, my cousin's a girl. Her name is Santasia. Well, Santasia, I get that. Santasia, that sounds like a girl's name. Cass writes, I have a niece named Santana. It's a unisex name. It can go either way. Okay. So maybe she has a point. I don't know. It seems like she was caught red-handed on this one. I don't know. Would you ever take a loyalty test like this? Like in a relationship, do you think it's wrong to ask to see the phone of somebody else? And again, I'm trying to figure out the circumstances in which you would do that. Like, if you're not suspicious of anything, if you've had no issues, then you would never even ask to look at a phone. But if you're suspicious, maybe you got cheated on in a previous relationship, or maybe you had some issues in your current relationship, would you ever ask to see the other person's phone? What I would say is this. You know, you do you in your relationship. I would just say, just be ready for whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because you ask to see that phone, you might find exactly what you think you ain't looking for or what you looking for. You know, get your heart ready. You know what I'm saying? Santana. TNT writes, can't no random shit come at me asking 50-11 questions. I'll keep walking forward like they are panhandlers. Do not worry. But he didn't ask 50-11 questions. He only asked one. I may come back to this. It's hilarious to that. P stands for Ussy. Is that right? Why am I not watching this show, Karma Yar? Y'all ain't tell me about this. Dale writes, dude has been breaking up a lot of relationships with these videos. I see a lot of his videos, and they have been hilarious. Nikki writes, I wouldn't do it. We got a call coming in. Let's put that conversation on hold, and let's go to the phones. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Nathan. It's Alicia Reese. How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
I was calling you to, I want to thank everyone that came out yesterday. We had the official announcement of the 2022 inductees of the Cincinnati Black Music Walk of Fame. And as you know, this historic project, which is a tourism infrastructure project that is named Black Music Walk of Fame and will be located on the Ohio banks across from Paul Brown Stadium, right in the NFL Monday Night Football shot and next to the Andrew Brady Center. And it will be built to accommodate 200 stars. So every year there'll be 4. So you got over 50 opportunities to get in the Walk of Fame. But I'm very excited that the committee put forward 4 solid inductees this year that I'm excited about. Midnight Star with the Callaways. All the original members will be here together for the first time, I think, in years. So the Callaways and all of the Midnight Star original members will be here for the induction. Penny Ford, who sold over 9 million records, the song I Got the Power, also has been a background singer for Shaka Khan, and she'll be coming in from Germany, and she's from Evanston, and excited to have her go in. We have High Tech, hip hop legend producer who just announced that he now owns his masters. He just cut a deal to own his masters, and has produced for Anderson .Paak and Snoop Dogg and Common, and has sold millions of records, as well as the late great Wilbert Longmire. Many know him. He opened up and was discovered by Nancy Wilson, and opened up for Nancy Wilson, and then traveled with the great George Benson. So they will be going in along with our founding inductees, all the stars will go in the ground on July 23rd of the new inductees, as well as our founding inductees, the Isley brothers, Bootsy Collins, the late Dr. Charles Fold, and Otis Williams. And their stars will go in, and it'll happen on Saturday, July 23rd. Saturday, July 23rd, from noon until 3. Induction ceremony starts at 1, and it's going to be a wonderful time. It's going to be during the music festival weekend, and we're really excited about this. So just wanted to let everybody know to put it on their calendars. I'm so excited about this. This is going to be historic, and when the Walk of Fame is completed, it's going to, like I said, have 200 stars. It'll be able to accommodate 200 stars. 3,000 people will be able to be on the Walk of Fame at one time. It's going to be interactive, and we've got, QR codes, the stars with the QR codes that tell the stories, and screens, LED screens with video content. It'll have streaming capabilities. We could even do a concert from your living room and have it played there. We're going to have a augmented reality area where families can dance and have participate with augmented reality. It's going to be available. People with disabilities. It's going to have Braille. It's going to have the drum beat that you could feel the rhythm. So it's just going to be accessible for everybody. And I'm very, very excited about this project. It was announced last year. You never move that quick. It announced last year, and it's going up this year, and you can see it coming out of the ground. So just want to give everybody an update, and I really just, thank God, because it's only God could pull something off like this. And these artists who have sold millions of records, known worldwide, have been nominated for different national and international awards, and made an impact on music, and have not gotten recognition in their hometown. This is just going to be amazing. So yesterday we kicked it off at Hard Rock Casino. It was great. And now July 23rd, everybody's been asking, when is it? It's July 23rd. Put it on your calendar, noon to 3 p.m. It's going to be free. It's going to be at the Andrew Brady Music Center, formerly known as the Icon. And that's going to happen. So I wanted people to know about that. And then the second thing, we got a very big vote today, one of many big votes. We got a big vote today dealing with the World Cup, and my phones are ringing off the hook, and people trying to, call, and what are you going to do? And I just think it's so important. I have it on my Facebook page, Alicia Reese for County Commissioner. I keep all these things live. You could see, if you want to go there, you could see the questioning, you could see the presentation that was made. And I just want to give some context so people would kind of know what's really going on. As being a former deputy director of tourism, obviously I'm always looking to bring tourist attractions and bring more money to the county. But one of the things that happens is when you try to bring something, there's a thing called a bid package, which tells you what you have to have in order to bid. And I have been asking for this since I got elected last year. I said, where's the bid package so we can see what are the demands that we have to meet and how much is it going to cost us? Most people think the World Cup is going to take place in FC Stadium. I was one of them before I got elected. I said, oh, man, we got this new TQL stadium and World Cup. Okay, that makes sense. However, it will not take place in TQL Stadium, FC's home stadium, because it's not big enough. So now it gets a little more complicated because now it has to happen at Paul Brown Stadium. And the year is 2026. I want y'all to remember that year. it seems that everything is falling in 2026. Number one, we've got the stadium, and we got a 200-page document with $500 million of needs for the stadium. If we don't build a new one, it's $500 million. Plus, that's not the final master plan. So that'll be more than $500 million. Number two, in 2026, the Bengals lease is in. So we're the landlords, but we don't have a tenant yet beyond 2026. So that negotiation has to happen. And then the convention hotel, World Cup say you got to have this convention hotel done by 2026 when the World Cup is happening. And we had a presentation saying that the convention hotel would be $368 million minimum. And then they want to upgrade the convention center for another $100 million. So that's almost $500 million. And then, of course, last but not least, we've got the World Cup. And they delivered, I've been asked this since last year, and I received a 257-page contract document during Memorial Weekend, on Memorial Day that night. 257-page document that I have been asking for since last year came in, and it was said that we have to vote on it Thursday, which is today. 257 pages. We were presented it formally on Tuesday. And in there, it's a lot of fine print. Now, I was excited about the World Cup until I got this 257-page document. In there, it has what they call government guarantees. Some of the guarantees requires us to take out the side seating of Paul Brown Stadium, and that would reduce our capacity at Paul Brown Stadium. We had to pay to take them out. That's a couple million. It's about $4 million. Then they said I think that's more than $4 million, actually. I think it's $6 million. Upwards of $6 million. And then we've got to take out the AstroTurf and put grass. And that's got to be done the year before the World Cup comes because they want to seed it, and it's got to grow. It's got to have irrigation. It's got to have all that watering systems and all that stuff. And they said that's about $4 million. Then they said in there they want to get rid of all of the sponsorships. You got to clean out all sponsorships. No names of any sponsors inside the stadium. So now you got to deal with the sponsors that already signed contracts to be in there year round. Then they said that you've got to fix up, luxury boxes. They want them fixed up. They want them upgraded. We've got to do that. There's just so many things that all of a sudden we got to do, the taxpayers. And I'm like, hold on, wait a minute. Let me look at this. But the thing that was most alarming to me was a clause that said, once you sign this document, and it has to be signed by this week before they make an announcement. Once you sign to agree to all the 257 pages of guarantees, whereas clauses, and cost, there's a clause in there that says you also agree to pay for any additional costs that the World Cup people say that you got to pay for. So these are costs we don't know nothing about. We have no idea, and we got to sign and say we agree to the cost in the 257 pages and any cost beyond. And I know that they've been saying, well, it's $10 million. It ain't just $10 million. It ain't just $10 million. They say, oh, it's just $10 million. It ain't just $10 million. That's not true. When we look at one, we got to put those sides back in. We can't keep reducing the size of Paul Brown Stadium. So we basically got to tear up Paul Brown Stadium in order to get this. Oh yeah, by the way, we got to give the intellectual rights to the rendering drawings of our stadium. We got to pay for the insurance. Now, most times you rent something, they make you pay for the insurance. They want us to pay. We're taking all the risk, the taxpayers. We got to pay for the insurance. There's just a lot of things in here that in these 257 pages, which they didn't give us, gave me a few, less than 24 hours to read. And in those less than 24 hours, I was able to at least pick up these things. So you imagine if I had this document when I should have had it months ago, a year ago, where we could really comb through. And so my thing is, I just want to make sure that the taxpayers, I'm for the World Cup, but I want to make sure that the taxpayers don't get screwed. And I'm very concerned about what's in this 257-page document and that one whereas clause that says that once you sign this, you are obligated for any and all additional cost determined by the World Cup folks, known as FIFA. So, I wanted the people to know, get some of the background. You can go online and read the 257 pages yourself, and you can see what's in there. Even hotel costs. They got a clause in there where they're going to determine. They want to keep the hotel costs down. It said, you can't inflate the cost. Now, the music festival come in town, we paying the highest rates ever. World Cup come in town, we got the lowest rates. Now, my goal was to bring the World Cup so we can bring some money into Hamilton County. I was trying to bring some money, make some money for the taxpayers. I didn't try to bring the World Cup in town for the taxpayers to be paying for everything, and all we get is some public relations. And so I'm very concerned about. I don't see what the World Cup is putting in. They're not putting in anything financially. And there are cities that dropped out on their own. Chicago, Illinois, they pulled out because they said financially it didn't make sense. Mm-hmm. So I've got to make that decision today, and I've asked for more information. I asked for guarantees in terms of capping the cost of what we have to spend. I asked for, is there anything in writing? They said the business community could pick it up. I need that in writing. We've heard that a lot. Business community is going to pick it up, but business community comes in and they do a lot of in-kind service. That's not cash. And we can't be the only skin in the game in terms of the county. And by the way, once we sign this, we are no longer in charge except to write the check. There'll be a committee formed, and that committee will be making all the decisions on behalf of the World Cup. And the only thing we're doing is writing a check. So it's unless they make some changes, I don't feel comfortable signing off on a blank check to the World Cup. I appreciate the World Cup if it makes sense, if it can bring some money to town, if it can come to town and leave some facilities that we can later use to make money and bring more tourism, that makes sense. But if it's just going to come to town and we got to write a blank check at a time when babies is trying to get milk, at a time when inflation is up and gas prices are jumping through the roof, at a time when the economy is unsteady and a little shaky, time when people trying to pay their rent and pay their mortgages, I just want to make sure we're not going to have something that increase taxes, bankrupt the county, and also get in the way of this negotiation that we got to have with the Bengals. I just think the timing is bad. We're in the middle. We're getting ready to go into a negotiation. We got to have something to negotiate. We can't go to the table and we have nothing to negotiate because we gave everything to the World Cup that comes in for one time and they're gone. So just wanted to bring those pieces out and educate the people that you can watch it at 1 o'clock. We'll be live 1 o'clock on the county for our county meeting. But if you want to see what the presentation was, you can see that on my Facebook page and what the questions were. You can see that on my Facebook page, Alicia Reese for County Commissioner. And you can, like I said, tune in live today. But I wanted your listeners to know some of the facts. And you can go online if you want to read the 257-page document. Go to the financial page. Go to the page where it says government guarantees. Go to the page that has the language that says that we're going to, if we sign this, we're held accountable for all of the costs that are identified in there. and any additional unforeseen costs that may arise. So I just wanted to, I know it's hard to follow because it's a lot in 2026. You know, 1 week we talking about $500 million for hotel and convention center. The next week we got another request in about the stadium needs $500 million of upgrades. Then now we got the World Cup. They coming in with, they want a blank check. It's a lot, and we've got to be reading the fine print.
Well, Alicia, I appreciate you. I mean, somebody called in earlier and they were more like in favor of it, but just hearing you, it's a bunch of red flags. At the top of the list is the timing of you getting a contract. I mean, that should be illegal. I mean, how could you possibly have enough time to run through this document and it's 200 plus pages?
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying that. I said this is not acceptable. They did it with the Bengals upgraded the stadium. They gave that to us. I got that 30 minutes before the meeting, and that was 200 pages. And now they come with this and hit it late at night, Memorial Day night. Here they come, and I've been asking for this since I got elected. That's been a year. And that's what gets me a little bit. Now they're going to have the economic, they got the indirect, economic benefit of $400 million. And, I'm in tourism, so I know about these numbers. But when you really look at it, and then they said, okay, well, $400 million and it'll be 50% would go to Hamilton County. Well, when you look at direct money, tax revenue, it's only $19 million tax revenue, and that includes money that goes to the state, money that goes to the city, and then money that goes to the county. So we're putting in more than, in terms of hard money, than what we're getting back. But this $400 million, if we even stuck with that number, let's stick with that. Take it 50%. That's about $200+ million. That's one time. That's a one-time thing. The Music Fest is bringing in 100. The same people who did that economic study did the Music Fest study. $107 million being brought in every year for the Music Fest. So you get two Music Fests, and I ain't got to tear up Paul Brown Stadium. I'm getting exactly how much money I'm getting from the World Cup, right, according to if I use these studies. UC study on the World Cup and UC study on the Music Fest. Music Fest, $107 million a year. World Cup, you said if it comes one time, we're going to get 50% of the $400 million. That's about $200+ million. If I do two Music Fests, I ain't got to take no sides out. I ain't got to put no grass down. I ain't got to have no irrigation system. I ain't got to sign no 257-page document of guarantees. I ain't got to do none of that. I get 2 years of the festival. I'm equal to what the World Cup is bringing to Hamilton County. I'm getting equal of what the World Cup is bringing to Hamilton County. The only difference is I don't get the world public relations. But, hey, we went to the Super Bowl and got a lot of public relations. I ain't had to tear up nothing. So we got to look at that. What is the net? I'm looking at the net. I'm looking at what the net is based on our investment. And when they leave, it's not something I need. When they leave, it ain't like I need grass and they help me get grass down there. I got to go back to AstroTurf. When they leave, it's not like I needed those sides to come out. And so now we upgraded the stadium to reduce the size. So I don't need to reduce the capacity of Paul Brown Stadium. So that don't help me. I don't make no more money off of it. There's nothing that they're leaving that when they leave, we can steal, the taxpayers of Hamilton County can benefit. And that's what I'm looking for. I'm searching for it. What is it? Because I want to be supportive, but I got to look at the business deal. The business deal is the problem. There's a ton of, UC did the economic study, but there's a ton of professors that came on and did a research on this and showed that some people got left with a $12 million security bill. Some people got left, they said they never leave where the host people leave, and they left a whole lot for the hosts. The host, the government, is the ones that say got to fund everything. They don't really benefit except from public relations. And this is pretty expensive for us to get some articles and some news stories that will, go away when it's, and of course I know we want bragging rights, but we got to make sure it doesn't cost the taxpayers. I'm looking at the taxpayers. I want the taxpayers to win. That's who I'm trying to get to win. So I've been looking at this, and our team is researching. We done sent the administrator back, seeing can you negotiate a better deal? Can you put a cap on it? Can you get, you said the business community verbally told you something. Can you get that in writing and with signatures that they're going to pay for anything over and above what we are willing to pay? You know, I need to get those things. And if they, you know, they're saying, well, you know, we ain't got much time. You know, we can't get those things. I don't want to end up when the World Cup is over, when the fanfare is over, the cameras leave, the red ribbon leaves. Then here comes the media doing a study and find out it didn't bring the money in and it cost the taxpayers more. I can't have that. So I'm trying to get a better deal, working as quick as we can, how we can. And my folks are researching, you know, this type of contract. And what does this contract mean to the taxpayers? Does it put us on the hook? Can we get some wiggle room out? What are our assurances? What measures are we putting in to protect the taxpayers? But if you just look at it from a fan perspective, it's beautiful. If I was a fan, I would be screaming, yeah. But I ain't a fan now. I got to look at the business arrangement, the 257-page contract. And there's some stuff in there that just, it very much alarms me.
Mm-hmm. Well, Alicia, thank you so much for your time this morning. You've given us a lot to think about, and I appreciate you. I'll definitely be tuning in at 1 p.m. today to see how it all shakes out. And you're saying the vote is today? You have to vote on today as to whether you move forward?
Yeah. Yes, because we meet. They got to sign the contract on Friday. Now, it's amazing when World Cup show up. All of a sudden, everything stops. We got to move quick. We got to get it done, all hands on deck. And when we have stuff to help the people that pay the taxes, that's got a process.
Right, it's slow.
We can't do it that quick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's as slow as a turtle down. It's the slowest government I've ever been a part of. It's slow. It's a process. You know, I remember the health gap. I wasn't elected then, but they had they actually bid and won a contract, right? And everybody, they were like, yeah, we got, you know, they won. I get elected 3 years later. And I'm voting on finally getting the contract into fruition, to sign it. I said, wait a minute, this is 3 years ago. Well, yeah, we had to get it in paperwork, and we had a lot of stuff. 3 years for a contract that, if I'm not mistaken, it was up to $300,000. Up to, that means not even, it ain't gonna be 300,000. It can't be above 300,000. And here I am. We getting ready to give away millions. We getting ready to tear up Paul Brown Stadium. Tear this thing up. We talking about bulldozers and everything coming in. And we can get this done. And they give it to me the night, and all the commissioners, the Memorial Day night. 257 page. I had to get in there. I got a torn meniscus. I'm on crutches and had to get down there, try to get these copies made, read through it. And then they said, any questions you got, you ask them today because we got to vote on Thursday. I just got it. You know, so my thing is, who's in charge? And we've got to, what happened to the process? What happened to there's a process? And they just jump on the calendar. Other people, you waiting to get on the calendar to even be heard. So we just, those are the kinds of things that I've been seeing since I got elected that is bothersome to me. You give us these major deals, these major decisions, and that's how we got the deal we got with the stadium, and the Bengals. What was on the ballot, people agreed. But what got messed up is when it got to the contract, when it got to the details. And when you got in that contract, there was a lot of things that was not the good things for our taxpayers. The taxpayers got screwed. So I don't want that. I don't want the taxpayers getting screwed. And no matter how much, I want to have something, I got to, and the best of my ability, when I read something, I see these red flags, you guys elected me to say something. And so I'm sorry that I'm telling you guys at the last minute, but I'm telling you how I got it at the last minute. And it's 257 pages, and there are a lot of red flags on it. And they got to sign it by Friday, tomorrow. Got to sign it by tomorrow. And they said that's the latest they can do. And I've been asking for this for a whole year.
Well, Alicia, thank you so much for your time this morning. I really appreciate you, and we'll be watching for sure.
All right. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you for your time. That's Hamilton County Commissioner Alicia Reese. And having heard that, I don't like the deal no more. You know what I'm saying? I haven't read the documents, but again, we got a call from Black Rush. I'm thinking, okay, that sounds good. That's why I always am very careful with the way to use the words that I use. Sounds good. Now it sounds bad. That should be against the law. It should be against the law for commissioners who are being asked to make decisions on taxpayer dollars to receive documents within a short time frame. How you gonna read all of that? Man, you know, some of these lease agreements are just like, man, listen. Some of these lease agreements are like 30 pages. You got to get a lawyer to get them to look at it. You might be leasing a property for your small business, let alone 250 pages. You can't possibly read that and process it and break it all down in enough time. But speaking of time, I want to bring my next guest in, Kevin Aldridge. Hey, Kevin.
Hey, what's going on, Nathan?
I'm doing well, brother. I know you're on a time crunch. I want to make sure I got a chance to talk with you today, man, and talk about your article and how it led to you being on the red table. I thought that was dope, man. So tell everybody about, you know, what's going on. And the episode airs today. Is that correct?
Yeah, it airs at noon today. And you can go on to Table Talk's Facebook page and it'll be there. And it airs at noon in the event that folks aren't able to see it. I'm pretty sure it'll be up there. You know how it is. Once they post it, it sort of lives on the site for a while. So people, even if you aren't able to be there right at noon to watch it, you know, I know people got jobs and other stuff that's going on, bigger piece. But I'm sure you can swing by there at any point in time and catch it. And I'm sure we'll have it also posted on Cincinnati.
So this all happened after that fiasco at the Oscars. And you wrote a piece titled, "My Wife Has Alopecia. I've dried her ears, her tears affirmed her beauty." And you were giving your perspective on how you think that Will Smith should have handled that whole situation with his wife. And of course, Chris Rock made a comment about G.I. Jane, and then it came out that she had alopecia. Let's start from the beginning, man. What is alopecia? And then tell us about your journey and what you and your wife have been dealing with.
Yeah, Nathan. So alopecia is an autoimmune disease that can cause hair loss in individuals who have it. There are several different types of it. Like there's some people who have it and they lose hair all over their body, lose it, you know, in patches. There are some people who have accompanies painful scarring that comes along with the hair loss, which coincidentally is what Jada Pinkett Smith has. And there's no cure for it. You know, there are treatments, steroid injections that people can get in their head. Did that for a period. She would go in once a month and get like 40 shots directly in her head, very painful process. And for some folks, you know, the hair growth comes back over time. For some people, it doesn't.
Hey, Kevin, you're breaking up, man.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but it's like it's out of sync. The video and the audio is a little bit out of sync. Are you in a different place this morning?
I'm where I'm usually at when I do this, but I'm on my phone today doing it because I was having difficulty getting the link going with my laptop. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's very, very choppy. Like maybe we can get you to call in. I think that might be a better experience for everybody.
Yeah, let me do that. I'm gonna call you right now.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's Kevin Aldridge. I want, if we're gonna do it, I want you to be able to, you know, hear him. and hear what he has to say. So if I'm having issues with it, it's choppy. It's probably gonna be choppy for you as well. So he'll give us a call here. Here he is. Hey, good morning, Kevin.
Hey, Nathan, is that better?
I think so. Choppers, let me know if you have any issues, but I think so. It sounds better to my ear.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So as I was saying, this is my wife's second bout with it. She had it first hit her when she was a senior in high school, 17 years old, and obviously that's a difficult time for you, big time in your life, senior year graduating, and she's dealing with patches of her hair coming out and in large quantities and having to wear wigs and things of that nature. But it grew back the first time. And then about, I would say maybe around 2007 when we got married, it happened again. In fact, when she was getting her hair done on her wedding day, the stylist discovered that, she had a spot in her hair and things kind of, progressed and worsened from there. And eventually she made the decision after a few years of trying different things, wearing wigs, braids, extensions, stuff like that. She eventually decided to just go ahead and shave the hair completely. And so that's where she kind of is today. And so when the event happened at the Oscars, everybody was obviously very critical of Will Smith and the way that he handled it. And, I even was too in the column that I wrote, but I also understood from a husband's perspective and being with somebody who's lived with alopecia, the emotional toll, the psychological toll that can take on somebody, and how, poking fun at that is not really a laughing matter for a lot of people who deal with it. Everybody's different. Some people can maybe handle it. For other people, it's a very sensitive topic. And so I could definitely relate to, the desire to want to protect your wife in that situation. I felt that way in some situations with my wife before. And so I got it. But what I felt he had an opportunity to do at the Oscars was, instead of, going up on stage and slapping Chris Rock, I thought he had a great opportunity that he could have used that platform to really kind of educate America and even Chris Rock on what alopecia was, to defend his wife in a different way, and also empower millions of men, women, and children around the world who are dealing with this disease by really putting it out there in a positive and powerful way. Now, as it turns out, you wound up getting a lot of pub from alopecia for it anyway. It started to get a lot of attention in the aftermath of it anyway, but I think it could have definitely been much more positive, much more powerful if he had taken that approach. And so I wrote a column about that. That was my thoughts and perspectives on it. And so, unbeknownst to me, after USA Today picked it up and the column kind of went viral on the internet, unbeknownst to me, Jada Pinkett Smith actually read the article. So think about that for a minute. It's like, I don't know if I ever thought for a minute, as I was writing it, that either one of them would actually read it. There's a lot of stuff out there. Who knows if they even, read, newspapers and media and stuff like that. They're busy people. But she read it, liked it, had the producers of the show reach out to me via email to see if we would be interested in talking to them about coming on the show. Now, I got to do a better job of checking my emails, Nathan, because I didn't even see the email. They sent me the email like the day after the article published, and sort of went out nationally, and I didn't see the email. I get tons of email every day, so I'd be lying to you if I said that I actually read every email that comes into my mailbox every day. That generally doesn't tend to happen, and so this was one that I missed. But fortunately, they didn't give up. And so after I didn't respond for a while, they actually Googled my wife, found out where she worked, got the number to her office, and actually called her at her office. Now, what's amazing about that is my wife hasn't been in the office, more than probably a dozen times since the pandemic, working from home remotely. And the day that they happened to call her just so happened to be the one day that she was back in the office doing some work. And they called her and told her that they had read the article, were moved by our story, that Jada was thinking about doing a big show on alopecia to raise awareness and to highlight the stories of people who have been impacted by it. And they wanted to sit down and talk with us about the possibility of being on the show. And so my wife calls me and she says, "Hey, are you sitting down? Got some news for you. We're going to be on Red Table Talk." So, of course, I think she's playing, right? Like, yeah, get out of here. Like, for real, like Jada Pinkett Smith read the article and wanted us to come on. Quit playing. I ain't got time for this. I got work to do. What you want? She was like, "No, I'm for real. This is happening." They called me today at work. They want to sit down and do just kind of like a pre-interview with the producers to hear our story again. And then they're going to make a decision on whether they're going to have us join the show via Zoom or whether they're going to fly us out to Los Angeles to actually physically be on the show and sit at the table with Jada. And so the next day we did a Zoom interview with about 4 of the producers on the show. They loved what they heard. They told us, they said, "Give us a minute. We're going to talk about it." Called us back a few hours later and told us that we were going to be on a plane that Monday, headed to Los Angeles to be on the show. And the rest is kind of history from there. We flew out on, I think it was May 10th or 11th, whatever that Monday was. And we were there in Los Angeles for 3 days. We taped the show on that Tuesday at their house in Calabasas, which is as spectacular as you can probably imagine it would be. I tell people, I've told people since we've been allowed to talk about it that, when you pull up to the drive in their house, if you ever seen in Jurassic Park when they first pull up to the park and they have those huge wooden doors and the gates that swing open into Jurassic Park, like that's what it looked like, pulling into their crib out there, like, and just beautiful house, large estate. In addition to their big house, they probably got like 3 or 4 other houses on the property where family and friends live on the property with them. Basically got a Planet Fitness, at the crib in a own separate building. So it's everything that you would imagine, 2 Hollywood celebrities might have, how they might be living.
Wow.
And so we taped the show on Tuesday, and they had us on a plane out the next morning, heading back to Cincinnati.
So tell us more details. So you shot on the property? Do they have a studio set up, or were you like set up in like a common living area? Like where did they actually shoot at? Where is the actual Red Table at?
So the actual Red Table is like in a family room area that they have inside of their house. So they literally have like an entire production studio like set up in their house. So it's amazing. It's like everything you think you would see like on a Hollywood set, they have there inside of their house. And it's like the entire production crew is sort of like all over the place. And when we were off camera before we got put into the table, they had us in what they called the Smith Family Theater, which is, basically like a AMC or Regal Cinema, movie theater type deal inside the house. So, you can sit up there and back in this theater, they've got, the guys who are working the boards and, the big screens where you can see all of the different camera angle shots back there. And so that's where they kind of kept us and the other guests who were going to be on the show backstage until it was time for us to come on. Now they kept everything real tight. You couldn't just like go off exploring. So because they really kind of kept you to the areas where you needed to be. So, you didn't really get a tour of the entire house. They really just kind of kept you to the areas where you needed to be in order to kind of tape the show, which you can understand. And the other interesting thing I thought is I don't know if they had like some kind of Wi-Fi dampener or something out there, but there was absolutely no taking of pictures when you were there. You couldn't get any calls or text messages out on the property when you were there. So they had everything very locked down tight. And I guess you can imagine why, because you probably have, all kinds of people, even people that, they might worry about on the crew who might be trying to, take some pictures or sell some information and stuff like that. So I think they're very, very careful and guarded about the privacy and stuff like that. So that was kind of how the setup was.
So it's a family thing. So the hosts are Jada, and then her mother, I think they call her Gammy or something like that, and then
Right.
Willow. They're all there, a part
Right.
of were they on set? Are they a part of the episode that you guys were on?
Yeah, so both of them were at the table with us, and we got a chance to interact with them and talk with them. Gammy was very, very personable. They were all pretty personable. If I had to kind of put them in order, most personable to least personable, I would probably say Gammy was the most, then Jada, and then probably Willow after that. But all of them, were very warm and welcoming, made us feel, very much at home, and wanted to know a lot about us and asked a lot of questions. What focus didn't really want the focus to be on them, which was, which I thought was interesting and a positive.
So this is like a major production, full crew working on the sides. Is that what you experienced?
Oh yeah, no doubt. I think I don't know how many people know this, but this this show was actually nominated for an Emmy. And when we were out there, they were actually having a celebration after the taping for all of the crew members to celebrate getting the Emmy nomination there. So they had a bunch of food trucks and stuff on the property, and kind of had like a real festive atmosphere after the taping. And so they were very excited about the the acknowledgement and the Emmy nomination for the show. So yeah, man, it's not like it's not like some cats with a camera phone or something on a tripod shooting the show.
Right.
This is a high level, high polished production.
Now I gotta ask this: was Will around? It is their home. Did you see Will Smith?
Yeah, no, Will was not there. Which we were told that usually he is around for the red table talks and, mingles with the different guests who are there, and is, kind of his Will Smith, playful joking self when he's around. Just kind of fun to be around. But, we were kind of told that he hadn't been back to the house since the incident at the Oscars. So he's kind of been laying low overseas somewhere, I guess, and wasn't really around when we were there, which was kind of disappointing, because it would have been nice to, have met him as well. But certainly, you kind of understand with the scrutiny and everything that he's been under since the Oscars, one can probably understand him laying low a little bit.
So when you shoot it, do you shoot it straight, or do you take breaks and then come back and ask more questions? How does that work?
Yeah, no, it's very straight, man. They do it just very conversationally. It was one take. We sat down. They probably talked to us for about 20 minutes. Of course, when it comes out, they edit it and condense it down. So our segment is probably about 6 or 7 minutes long. So out of a 20-minute interview, they cobbled together and pieced different parts of our conversation together for the segment that everybody will see today. So there are a lot of things. We got an opportunity late last night to see the cut, and there's a lot of good stuff in there, but there's also a lot of stuff we talked about that didn't make it, because obviously I think they've come to learn on that show that people's attention span, especially online, is incredibly short. People aren't going to sit and watch an hour-long show on the internet, on Facebook. And so I think what they've tried to do with all of the guests and content that they had was take it and kind of break it up into small chunks and run it over several days, and kind of, instead of trying to do one big show with everybody on there. And so that's how they kind of came up with this concept for this 3 to 4 day series that they're doing.
So I know you got to go, Kevin, but just maybe one or two more questions. So what is there anything that didn't make the cut that you think that you wish that it would have?
No, actually, Nathan, I think they did a really good job of in looking at the edits, and even being an editor myself, and albeit in a different capacity. One of the most difficult things can be, whether it's in a newspaper article or video, especially when you have so much content, is kind of trying to decide, what to keep and what to get rid of. And I think that they managed to do a very good job of capturing, the key points and the best things to talk about. I mean, I think what didn't get in was just kind of, just elaborating, maybe a little bit more context, maybe a little bit more opinion about, or perspective about, what we thought about different things. People have asked me if the Oscars conversation came up, and it didn't really in our segment, only from the standpoint of sort of setting the stage for the article that I had written, that was sort of the impetus for me writing the article. But in the segment, the first segment that aired yesterday, Jada actually did address it in a separate monologue, which was taped obviously after we did our taping, because we sat through the entire taping, because our segment was taped last out of all of the guests who were there. And so we got to see the full show, and the monologue that she did yesterday, she didn't do that day. So I know they came along and sort of did that later and kind of addressed that. And so if folks are interested in hearing what she said about that, you can go back and look at the episode that aired yesterday. And she doesn't get into it too deep, but, she does at least talk about it.
Man, again, I think this is awesome. I think it speaks to, and we talked about this behind the scenes, I think it speaks to the power of media. How has this impacted you? I mean, as you write articles in the future, like, will this experience have an impact on you in any way?
I don't think so, Nathan. I mean, I think, and I kind of said that, it was surprising that they read it. But I will say this, that over the 25, plus years that I've been a journalist, I've had an opportunity to meet a lot of great people, famous people. Being in the media, you can often get access to people and places that the average person can't. So this wasn't really my first brush with a celebrity, either as a reporter or a columnist. I just think with this one, it was so unexpected. But no, I don't think it'll change my perspective in terms of, or the way that I, write or approach things. Because, hey, it's doing what I do, the way that I do it, that, got this article to get its attention. And so, I don't think I'll change or change up the way that I do things. I think I'll just continue to try to be, my most authentic self, and write what I feel and write what I think, and we'll see what happens.
One last question. If I remember correctly, you said that there was a Cincinnati connection. There were some people that worked on the set or part of the crew that was from Cincinnati or had ties with Cincinnati. Am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah. So it's interesting. So they had different people who were in charge of everything. One of the interesting things was, before we went out there, we had to submit
pictures of what we plan to wear on the show because they wanted to check, to make sure, I guess, that that we had good taste and style. I guess they didn't want us on there looking like looking like the swap meet crew or something like that while we were on stage. So we had to actually send in pictures of what we were going to wear. We actually had to bring three different outfits, those that we sent the pictures in of, to go out there. And then once we got there, they had a producer who would come look at the clothes, and then they would actually pick out which of the three outfits that they wanted you to wear. And they would do it based on sort of the aesthetics of the red table room where we were going to be in. Of course, what my wife was wearing, they wanted me to have something that was complementary to what she was wearing. And so there was that whole process. And so one of the producers who was in charge of that part, the styling and kind of making the decision on what we were going to wear, was actually from Wyoming. And so she was super excited to meet us when we got out there, because she was excited that somebody else from the Cincinnati area, was going to be on the show. And so, of course, we started talking about, traditional Cincinnati stuff. And, of course, we talked about the Bengals and the Super Bowl and that kind of thing. So it was interesting. And it just kind of lets you know how small, the world is, that, two people from Cincinnati can meet up in LA on the Red Table Talk show. And it was just kind of a neat experience.
Well, Kevin, man, listen, I think that's awesome. I'll be definitely checking out. I don't typically check out the episodes unless it's something controversial and it comes across my radar screen. But because you and your wife are going to be there, I'm definitely going to be checking it out later today, man. And I wish you all the best. I think it's a great story all the way around. And we'll catch up real soon, brother.
No doubt, man. And hey, don't feel bad about not watching it, Nathan, because before they called me, I had not watched a single episode of Red Table Talk. So,
is that right?
Yeah. So my wife actually had to explain it to me. I mean, I knew Jada Pinkett did a show, but I like you said, I never watched a single episode of the show, and so I had to kind of do a quick study on it before we headed out there, just so I could at least know what it was like and what it was about. So I feel you on that.
Well, brother, have a great day, man, and we'll connect real soon.
Okay, man. Take care.
Most days.
Thanks again.
Yeah, that's Kevin Aldridge, everybody. He got a lot of hats. He's the opinion editor with the Inquirer, one of the co-owners of the Ohio Kings, all around good brother. And I appreciate his voice here on the show. Honorary Chopper, and big supporter in what we're doing here and what I'm doing. I think that's dope. He told me a few weeks back and swore me to secrecy. And as people have learned, if you tell me something and say keep it on the low, it's on the low. Nobody told me anything. I don't know what you're talking about. Because they told him to keep it on the low until they put it out. Man, the Red Table is the Red Table Talk podcast is, in my opinion, the biggest podcast on Facebook, because they promote their own live stream and podcast shows. And it might be the second biggest podcast, period. Maybe behind Joe Rogan, maybe. I don't have numbers in front of me. I'm just talking about from my vantage point, man. But I think that's super awesome. It's the power of digital media. They picked it up online. You know what I'm saying? The producers probably did a search for alopecia and saw his article. That is super dope, super interesting, man. It's the power of the written word. Super awesome. But what do you think? Hair, I saw Daryl was saying great things about his wife. I'm not, hair is cool. But, if the wifey has cut her hair, she's had super hair, short hairstyles. I don't really care. That's her hair. If she wanted to go bald or had to go bald, I wouldn't look at her any different. If she want to wear a wig, I don't care about that kind of stuff. But a society does. I'm more into the character of a woman, how she carries herself, what comes out of her mouth, what's in her heart, what's in her head. Yeah, physicality matters, of course, to some degree. We all got our particular taste, but hair, no hair. I've seen some sisters that were bald, dazzling. And with his wife, I thought that she chose to do that. I didn't see no different. I thought that was her choice. Last time he came on and talked about it, He said a lot of people feel the same way. They thought people think that his wife, that was a style choice, because I see a lot of sisters doing that. I don't think shit about it. It's all about the way a person, man or woman, carries themselves, to me. But America is so hair centric. You got these shampoo commercials, flopping their hair and all this. I get it. I can understand it. I can understand how women can really, really get in their feelings behind that. I can understand how men can get in their feelings behind that. Although I think for men, it's much more acceptable, especially as you get older, to rock a little baldy. You know, you got Morris Chestnut and Tay Diggs and Michael Jordan. They've made rocking the baldy to be like a cool thing. So for a man, it ain't no big deal. But for a woman, I can see that. I can see that. But I don't care about that shit. That means nothing. Nothing to me. Me personally. Good morning to you, man. We've been talking about a lot. We got a lot more to talk about. So let me share this with you real quick. And you can comment on anything we've been talking about this morning and share your thoughts at 513-873-7134. All right. If you want to share your thoughts, please feel free to do so. Matter of fact, I'll put the number on the ticker at the very bottom. So how do I want to approach this? So you know that Joe Dieters, and part of the Republican plot is to paint Democrat judges as being soft on crime. And that has a real impact. It has a real impact. I was talking with somebody just yesterday, and this person was sharing with me the fact that, you know, there's been a lot of death threats at some of the Democrat elected or judges who are Democrats here in Hamilton County, to the point where the Hamilton County Sheriff Department had to step in and provide like security detail. So you got people like Joe Dieters and others that are trying to make it seem like, you know, the reason why the crime rate is so high is because these judges, these Democrat judges, are just soft on crime. And I don't think that has anything to do with it whatsoever. But there's a price for all of that. And the price for that is you get these yahoos out here, these psycho sickos that are not really connected and tethered to reality, and they'll take it a step further. And when somebody told me that yesterday, man, I had to make sure I put that on the air to let people know, like, you know, that's not a game. That is not a game. You know, you out here, there's people out there that are just they're not screwed on too tightly, and they'll try to take it a step further. And, you know, just think about how stupid that is. So here you are threatening to commit a crime because you feel like judges are not being toughened up on crime. That make any damn sense? No. It makes no sense whatsoever. But that's something that's happening in Hamilton County, whether you know about it or not. That's something that's happening. Like for me, you know, there's a time for everything. Yeah, there's a time for when you need to lock their ass up. And there's a time when they need to be, you know, you need to try some other measures. If locking people up and throwing away the key worked in terms of like dissuading people from committing crimes or having an impact on the crime rate, then we wouldn't have no issues right now, because America did that for decades. 3 strikes, you're out, truth in sentencing and all this kind of shit. It didn't work. All it did is it led to the over-incarceration primarily of Black and brown bodies, decimating the family structure and effing up our communities, and costing taxpayers a whole lot of money. It didn't change anything. And so I want judges to have a different mentality when it comes to sentencing, but I want to make sure I put that in your ear. Like, there's a price to pay for all that chatter. You know, all that chit chat about, oh, the judges. Oh, these judges are they just love crime. Who loves crime? But people believe this shit. Like they'll sit at home and just keep digesting this ish, and they'll be like, at some point, you know what? This tastes good. They actually believe it. To the point where, and I was told this, confirm or deny or set me straight if I'm wrong, where the Hamilton County Sheriff Department had to step in and provide security for, you know, some of these judges, because you got these psycho sickos out here listening to these right-wing talk show hosts And these talk show hosts know what they're doing. They don't even believe this nonsense, but it sounds good. It gives them something to talk about. If lock them up and throw away the key impacted the way people felt in terms of their security, then we would all feel secure because we did that for decades. It just don't work. There has to be a better way. I want to make sure I tell you that this morning before I forget. 513-873-7134. We can do better. From the Hamilton County Prosecutor's Office. I'm just going to keep saying it. I think we can do better. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that everything that Joe Dieters does and says is wrong. I'm just saying that we can do better. We can do better. But what do you think? 513-873-7134. So we heard from Alicia Reese, and after hearing from her, I don't like the deal. I don't like the deal. There should be some type of rule or law that says that when you asking Hamilton County commissioners to vote on millions of dollars, then they need to have X amount of time to go through the documents. Pardon me. That was a very interesting point Alicia Reese made. She's like, look, when it comes to the people getting something, we gotta do studies. We got to think about it. It takes months and months and months, if not years and years and years. Hey, pump the brakes here. We're talking about taxpayer dollars. But when it comes to something like World Cup or some other kind of big time development, they want to get it through super fast. It goes back to what we already know, that when the powers that be want to do something, they do it. They get it done. All this talk about, let's think about it, and hey, let's have a study, and that's all out the window when the powers that be want to get something done. When they want to get something done, it happens fast. It happens quick. We know what we want to do right now. And just hearing, I can't speculate as to which way she's going to go, but I appreciate her thinking about it in some kind of detail. So they about to bulldoze potentially the Bengal Stadium for the World Cup. But then what happens when World Cup leaves? I think those are all fair questions. And fans of soccer, people that don't care about the details, who are not going to be held responsible for taxpayer dollars, they just want the glitz. They want the public relations part of it. It looks good. Oh, I never thought Cincinnati could host an event like this. From the way she was talking, and somebody put this in the chat, it sounds to me like what we need to be investing is doing another music fest. That seems to be much more cost beneficial. Higher ROI. That's what it sounds like to me. I mean, I haven't looked at any numbers, but just listening to what she had to say. But you know how people are. People get caught, they get bedazzled. Oh, World Cup. And why in the hell will we spend all this money and time on a soccer stadium that's not up to par for World Cup? Why do we do that in this city? That makes no sense. For me, I just don't do it. It's the same thing with the Bengal Stadium. To me, they should have put a retractable dome or a dome on top of it. What's the difference? Spend the money. Do what needs to be done. But I guess that's a game they play with taxpayers. Like, listen, we can get by with this amount, even though we know we need that amount, but we can't get the taxpayers to go for it. So let's just go for this. I mean, if we're going to go big, go big. We got a brand new stadium, soccer stadium, that they can't use for World Cup. That sounds like the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. That makes no sense. Am I alone in this? Whose idea was this? They didn't tell us that. All that talk, all that back and forth. You already pushing people out. If you're going to push them out and go big, shoot for the moon. That makes no sense at all. Got a brand new FC Cincinnati soccer stadium that can be only used for FC Cincinnati. Why wouldn't you build the darn thing for World Cup? Think big. Gosh darn it, this makes no sense whatsoever. But maybe the argument is that if they had done that, then they couldn't have got it through council because the number would have been so high. That's one way of looking at it. But my way of looking at it, if you're going to build it, build it. If you're going to do something, go hard. Shoot for the stars. But, you know, maybe that's the way we do things here. Let's just get by. This will just be good enough. We can make money with this without looking at the bigger picture. I thought that was the whole point. So you can do high school soccer there, but you can't do World Cup. What difference does that make? Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. The world that we live in. That makes no sense whatsoever. Like I said, I didn't like the Bengal Stadium idea. But my thoughts was, even 20 years ago, 15 years ago, was if you're going to build it, put a dome on that motherfucker. That way you get 12 months a year usage out of it. If it costs us more money, then okay, but you're going to get more out of it. You know what I'm saying? Maybe that's the wrong way of thinking about it. I guess, you know, I guess that's why the powers that be are rich and I'm just doing what I'm doing. I guess they're smarter than I am, I guess, but that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And they give her a 250 plus page document on Memorial Day. And like I said, I've looked at leasing properties here in the city for studio space, right? 30 pages, 37 pages, 40 pages. I'm reading through this shit. I don't know what I'm reading. I got to get a lawyer to read it. I can't imagine looking at a 250 plus page document and you got a week and a half, 2 weeks to look at it. That right there is a red flag to me. That right there says, oh, we're going to try to pull the wool over your eyes. And I haven't heard from Driehaus. I haven't heard from all the other commissioners, Stephanie Summerall Dumas. But if they don't have the same, if they're not saying the same thing Alicia's saying, I got a problem with that. Because what I'd like to know is, how could you possibly have read all of this and interpreted this in such a short time frame? So I'll be looking at this today. I want to see what they have to say. If Driehaus and Dumas are not saying like, look, we just got this document. I didn't get a chance to read this shit. I didn't get a chance to read it and then process it. So let's say you get somebody else to read it for you. You got to sit down with them and process it page by page. You know how long that takes? You know how long that takes? Man, I was looking for a lease agreement. The lease agreement is 37 pages. I sat on the phone for a lawyer for 90 minutes, and this lawyer walked me through it page by page over the phone. That was 37 pages, and I still had to take notes to understand what I was reading. Could you imagine 250 fucking plus pages? There's no way you can do that adequately, sufficiently, efficiently to the satisfaction of your responsibility to the taxpayers. So I want to know what they got to say about that. Black Music Hall of Fame, shit, I love the idea. You know, black entertainers got to leave the city to get recognition before they get recognition inside their freaking city. She said, High Tech is a super dope producer. All the nominees seem worthy to me. A lot of people that might not be hip to High Tech. Man, he's a producer of one of my favorite hip hop songs. It's only just begun. I mangled that. Sorry. Super dope producer. I'm glad to see the brother getting recognition from the hip hop generation. Super dope. You ain't hip, you should go check him out. Super dope, prolific, super talented from Cincinnati. So I love the idea of recognizing Cincinnati artists in Cincinnati. High Tech get love everywhere else he go. Come to Cincinnati, you don't get, well, people know him. People that know him. He don't get no love, though, on the big time level. I'm glad to see it. I think it's a great idea. But let me go to the phones. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Nate. What's up, brother?
Hey, what up, Daryl? Welcome.
I made it back to Georgia. Hey, wait a minute. Let's back up for a minute because I came in the show late. Did you just say they built what's the name of the soccer?
TQL.
okay, TQL Stadium, and it's not it's not regulatory size to hold the World Cup event.
Exactly. Ain't that crazy?
What? What? That's, man. I don't mean to cap on my hometown, but that's so Cincinnati. Wait a minute. So you said this stadium's what, two or 3 years old, right?
Yeah, approximately somewhere around there. Yeah.
So they would have to sink money into basically refurbishing the stadium so it can hold the World Cup event. If the event was going to come to the city, right?
It would have to be a Paul Brown Stadium, correct?
Oh, so they would have to have it at Paul Brown. Okay.
And to do that, they've got to change it. They got to move the dimensions of it and do a whole lot of different changes to fit what World Cup is looking for.
To Paul Brown Stadium.
To Paul Brown Stadium, right.
In addition to the changes that the Bengals want to make to the stadium anyway to remain competitive, right?
Well, see, that's what Alicia just said. So what she's saying is like that could impact our negotiation with the Bengals because World Cup will come and go. They got to change it back. Yeah. We got to pay for it to go back to way Paul Brown, the Bengals want it to be.
Man, I know people don't want to hear this, but when this came up when you had I think the last time you had Alicia on, and I was saying that, man, y'all gonna end up building a new stadium for the Bengals.
I remember saying
I mean, y'all might as well face it right now. Y'all gonna, because what'll happen is, think about this, Nate. How did she get in? I know she got the documents late. Not like I said, I came in late. But what is the cost to refurbish it just for this one event? What is the cost for that?
Realistically, Daryl, it's unknown.
Yeah,
it's unknown. She doesn't know because she says that they got to sign the contract by Friday. And there's a stipulation in the contract that says that even after you sign the contract, you're on the hook for any future expenses, which at this point, we don't know what they are.
So wait a minute. So hear this out so that they could possibly enter into this and agree. And I'm with Alicia. She was all about the details. I was talking to my uncle because he's still in Cincinnati. And I was talking to him like, he's totally, he ain't feeling it, building a new stadium and stuff. He said, but he always said the key is, and this is what Alicia said, the key is in the detail of how the contract is set up. That's where it is, and that's where people miss it. That's what happened. And she brought up the last agreement with the Bengals. And so I'm sitting here hearing this, in which you're confirming my reservations to the whole thing is you could possibly, okay, we're going to have this event. We're going to, conform Paul Brown Stadium to the specifications the whole World Cup, right? That's going to come at some cost. And then the Bengals are going to come back and say, oh, we want $500 million to upgrade the stadium. So you might be whatever you have to do to that stadium, then come back and change it later to that makes no sense. That makes no sense at all. And man, and then the decision has to be made today because the decision's going to be made tomorrow. Who's in charge of putting all this stuff together in the contracts? How are they doing that without due diligence from the county commissioners in the first place? How are they doing that ahead of them? And then it comes to them later after the fact, everything's put together. Who's putting all that together?
I don't know. Probably the World Cup people. But we do that a lot, man. I remember when FC Cincinnati was thinking about where they were going to be. One of my biggest issues was it seemed like council members were bending to the will of what's the league that FC Cincinnati's in? Is it MLS? They were bending to the will of MLS. I heard too much of, well, this is what MLS requires, and we can't do that. I'm like, why can't you be a nipper? Well, MLS requires. I don't care what MLS requires. It's about what we want. Does what they are offering match what we desire? And it sounds like the same thing with World Cup. Like World Cup has all these stipulations, and people are going to try to contort themselves to fit into what World Cup. But what World Cup wants and what we need, what our vision might be at odds. So we're going to contort ourselves for World Cup for a one-time event, and then what happens afterward? To me, if there's any, I'm in no position to negotiate any of this, but to me, the bigger and more important relationship is the Bengals, because they're going to be here. They've been here. They're going to be here. I'm more concerned about the Bengals than I am World Cup. If I'm looking at it.
I said that in the chat. The bigger issue is the Bengals. So just the outsider's view that, I still have connections to Cincinnati. I mean, the way things are going, the way this looks, I don't know if y'all gonna have it. When is the event supposed to take place? Next year?
No, 2026.
Man, y'all between a rock and a hard place, because the powers to be they're the ones that's probably pushing it. So there's probably a lot of money and political power behind it.
Sure.
And they're going to overrule the people. I mean, y'all might as well get used to it, because that's how things work in America.
Well,
and so, I mean, y'all can push back hard, but I'm just saying the money, they're going to push it. They're going to contort. They're going to try to sell this thing. And my thing is, why, like you said, if you want to hold if this was even on the radar screen when you built TQL Stadium, why didn't you build it so it could hold an event like that from the beginning? It's always putting a cart before the horse. And that's why I said, in terms of the Bengals and spending $500 million to upgrade Paul Brown Stadium, I'm like, bruh, the stadium is 22 years old now. The contract expires in 26. It'll be 26 years old. You're going to spend $500 million today or next year, you know what I'm saying, within the next year, just to start upgrading the stadium. And then that upgrade is only going to last for so long before they ask for a new stadium. I mean, that's why I'm saying, like, you might as well just build a new stadium. I mean, people may not like that, but the Georgia Dome was around, let's see, they finished Mercedes in 2017. Georgia Dome was there for the Olympics, say 95, definitely for 96. So the Georgia Dome only lasted 20 years. And they had all kind of stuff in that facility, and that was a dome. And they tore it down. So I'm just saying, people in Cincinnati, just brace yourself, because they're going to, the way I see this, the way out, and it's going to cost a lot of money, but it would be better in the long run, is just go ahead and build a new state-of-the-art stadium and doing all the things you talked about, Nate, so you don't run into situations where you want to hold the World Cup, or you want to hold this, or you want to hold that. You build something that's going to be good for all the people, make it a retractable type stadium so you can hold multiple events and generate revenue for all year round, instead of just when it's warm outside. And then when it gets cold and there's snow on the ground, you can't have any events. That's all I got, brother.
All right,
Take care, bro.
I'm glad to see you got back to Atlanta, man. And it was good meeting you face to face. That's Daryl. Yeah, I mean, I can't spend taxpayer money, but I mean, for me, if they end up building a new stadium, then build a world-class, state-of-the-art stadium that's on par with what they got in LA, that can do everything. Now, it's easy to say that, but I'm sure that call, you talking about billions of dollars. Billions. And do Hamilton County taxpayers have that kind of stomach? Probably not. But I'm just saying, if you're going to do it big. All this little shit, it just costs you more money in the long run to me. But it's going to come down to the county commissioners. Even though Alicia said and had her reservations, I don't know how she's going to vote. Somebody called in and said that it appears, perhaps from maybe social media tweets or posts or whatever, this person, it was Black Russia, said that it appears to him that Denise Driehaus might be in favor of it. And I don't know yet about Stephanie Summerall Dumas. You know, you got 3 people in Hamilton County commissioners. We'll find out. I don't like it. You know, don't give me no damn documents and you want me to vote on something that's going to cost us millions of dollars and you're not giving enough time. I don't like the idea just because of that. You know, gosh darn, you could have gave me this 2, 3, 4 months ahead of time. It sounds to me like anybody that would do something like that is either one or two things. Either you're unprepared and you're doing shit last minute, and so you got the shit to me last minute, which I don't like it. Or you're trying to give it to me last minute on purpose, so I can't read through it and make an educated decision, which I don't like. You know what I'm saying? I don't like none of that, but I'm not a Hamilton County commissioner. So those women, and I love the fact that we got women leading Hamilton County commissioner's office. They'll make that decision and they'll let us know. A word from our sponsor. Today's show is brought to you in part by our good friends over at Renew Community Church. They offer a Sunday morning masterclass at 11:45 Eastern Time. This Sunday's topic: keep from losing your mind in a world gone crazy. Learn 7 steps to good mental health. You can tap in on Renew Community Church live stream on YouTube. You can also tap in on Facebook at facebook.com/Cincy Renew. Today's show is also brought to you in part by the good folks at the Greater Cincinnati Realtors Association. They are offering a free home ownership fair. Save this date. That's coming up this Saturday. That's June 4th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Coreyville Community Center. That's a few blocks from the University of Cincinnati at 2823 Eden Avenue, 45219. So if you or someone you know has been thinking about buying a home, boom, let them know about this. Let them know about this. I'll share this on my social media so you can check it out and share it as well. You know, home ownership is a reality, could be a reality for you, right? Don't miss out on this opportunity. We talked with the president of the GCRA. As a matter of fact, I ran into Durant yesterday at the table event, TABLE. That's an acronym. Are you at the table? And I think he's going to come back in tomorrow on Friday and just remind us and talk about it again. They're very serious about increasing home ownership, primarily in the Black community here in the city of Cincinnati. And that's a key to wealth building. All right, so I want to keep that up and save that date. Today's show is also brought to you in part by Wing Champ, undisputed champion of all wings. If you're looking for a spot for lunch today, consider Wing Champ. They're out in Sharonville and Sharonville Road. You can also maybe call ahead and order for takeout or maybe for delivery. And the link is in today's description. So with that, I'm going to take a couple minutes, step away from the show. We'll be right back. A quick break. Don't go anywhere. Live, local, and vocal right after this.
You always make me feel like, oh yeah, you never leave my thoughts alone, yeah, you're the reason I'm going out of my mind. I just can't stop thinking about you. Take it away, feeling too good to me. Chilling all day, all in your space is where I wanna be. Here in this room, what did you do? I just can't get enough. Too caught up in your love. I've been trying to forget, but you won't let me. Something in my brain wants you. I've been hanging by myself, asking for help, but nothing seems to work on you. Yeah, you always make me feel like, yeah, you never leave my thoughts alone, yeah, you're the reason I'm going out of my mind. I just stop thinking about you. All that I crave when you're away, nights are sleepless. Do we need space? Yeah, maybe you're brave. Boy, you're my weakness. Give and we take, the love that we make, it's my favorite drug. Too caught up in your love. I've been trying to forget, but you won't let me. Something in my brain wants you. I've been hanging by myself, asking for help, but nothing seems to work on you. Yeah, you always make me feel like home. Yeah, you never leave my thoughts alone. Yeah, you're the reason I'm going out my mind. I just want to live more. Yeah, you always make me feel like home. Yeah, you never leave my thoughts alone. Yeah, you're the reason I'm going out my mind. Just stop thinking about you. Just stop thinking about you.
Baby, look what hole I am in. I try not to think too much about what might have been. How nice.
All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome back. Just a quick break. Get some words in from our sponsors today. Good morning to you. Welcome back. Nathan Ivey with you. If you want to share your thoughts this morning, 513-873-7134. You can see the number there at the bottom of the screen. Let's get back into it, shall we? So what do you think? We've talked about a lot of stuff today. I talked about a lot of stuff. I got a call from Hamilton County Commissioner Alicia Reese. Got a big vote today. You can watch online. I love City Cable. I love that we have City Cable that can stream what's happening from our local governing bodies, city council, community council. I mean, like literally, you could just watch City Cable and you'll get a good sense of what's happening on some levels here in the city. You know what I'm saying? It's not as sizzling as maybe, I don't know, some other things, but in terms of keeping you informed, I loves it. I love it. I don't know who idea it was for City Cable. I love the idea. If taxpayers are supporting it, it's well worth our dollars. Because you can sit at home and just watch and get a sense of what's going on. You don't have to be there. You don't have to be there. You can just get a sense of what's happening. And big vote today, big decision today about the World Cup. And again, I haven't had the benefit of looking at the document, so I'm just going off my gut instincts. You know what I'm saying? This and this. And you know, we don't have to say yes to everything. Like Chicago, Minneapolis, Arizona, they all dropped out of the 2026 World Cup bid. It wasn't for them. So there's nothing wrong with saying no. You know what I'm saying? You know, everything is not the right opportunity. Sometimes it's timing. You know, maybe sometime in the future, World Cup it'll be a good idea, a good fit for us. But, you know, speaking with Alicia Reese, you know, you got these upcoming Bengal negotiations. That will be my focus. I will focus on the Bengals. They've been here. They plan to be here. That's the bigger focus rather than the World Cup. And anything that would interfere with those negotiations, I would be leery of. them. That's just me. And I'm just sitting here. I don't have any information in front of me. I ain't read nothing. I don't know nothing. I'm just talking shit. But nah, I don't like it. But again, who knows? And sometimes they'd be like, oh, this will have a $400 million impact. But then it's an estimate based upon like social media coverage. Like if you were paying for social media coverage, right, this is how much it would be worth if you were paying for it, that kind of shit. That ain't putting no food on the table. That ain't putting no food on nobody's table. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate politicians that's got that eye for detail, because the devil is in the details. That's why we elected you. We elected you to do that shit. Look at all the fine print. And how in the hell do we have a brand new MLS soccer stadium that's not capable of supporting the World Cup? Now, World Cup, they talking about what? You got to have 70, 80, 90,000 people in there. That's huge. And maybe there's not enough space down there. So maybe what I'm saying is unfair. I don't know. But from a common sense approach, it's like, darn it, if you're going to build it big enough to support any ideas that may come up in the future. Right? And yeah, there's some ideas you just can't foresee, but we can foresee FCC, we can foresee World Cup. But it is what it is. We are where we are. Yeah. Chris writes, how often is the World Cup? I think they do it once a year. It's every year. It's annual, right? I could be wrong about that. Again, I'm not a soccer guy. If I'm wrong, they're like, he don't know nothing. It's every 4 years, Nate. Well, then type that shit in there and let us know. I don't know. I'll fully admit it. Ashley writes, good morning, Nathan and the Choppers. Good morning to you, Ashley. Good to see you. I'm inside of Spreaker this morning. Sharp writes, good morning, Nate and the Choppers.
Get to the chopper!
Ray writes, good risings all. The feds went up on interest rates again yesterday. She writes, the governor of Ohio may sign a bill that reduces gun training for teachers. Right. Bad idea. I don't want teachers to have guns. I want teachers to have graduates. To me, before we get to arming teachers, let's make sure that we upgrade the security measures at all of our schools. But that costs money. I would pay more property tax. I'd pay more taxes if that meant that Cincinnati public schools are going to be safer and secure. It's worth it to me. Even if I didn't have children in CPS, it's worth it to me for our babies and the men and women that work in these buildings. I'd be willing to pay for that. But I might be alone in that. It costs money. You know what I'm saying? Some of these school buildings, all you got to do is flash a smile. Hey, you know what I'm saying? You in the door. Flash them pearly whites and give them a line. You in the door. You know what I'm saying? Or at the very least, you inside the school building. You know, in my son and daughter's school, can I walk straight into the building? I don't believe you can, but then you got to go through the office. But hell, once I get in the office, if I got a weapon on me, I'm walking through the building. Who gonna stop me? But let's go back to the phones. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Nathan. This is State Senator Cecil Thomas. How are you
Hey,
doing
Cecil.
this morning?
I'm doing well, brother. How you doing?
I'm fine. Fortunately, I get a chance to call now that we just went into recess. You know, I usually don't get a chance to call this early in the morning because I'm usually up at the State House. But you know, there are a couple of things going on that you just hit on. One of them, obviously, was the arming of teachers in the schools. We had a huge debate over that yesterday. And I was in total opposition to it simply because, as you indicated, teachers do not want to be armed. Now, you may have somebody that may feel that way, but the masses of the teachers feel that they have enough job to try to teach the kids. And to find themselves also having to be responsible for protecting the kids from some mass shooter is just unconscionable to think about, simply because teachers will say, and it's often an opportunity where a student is usually a student of that school or a former student of that school comes back and does something like that. And the teacher has to decide, do I shoot a student that I'm familiar with? You know, and the training related to how that all is supposed to occur, the training is a minimum is 24 hours of training. That's all that is required to arm a teacher or to arm anyone whom the school decides to allow in. And so I vehemently oppose that bill But again, though, because the Senate is made up of only 8 Democrats and 25 Republicans, the arguments fall on deaf ears. And so they believe that this is their response to the mass shootings, is to put someone in the school with a weapon. And I've argued all along, I said, now this is all reactive. This is not proactive. If you're going to deal with this problem, you deal with issues of red flag laws, where you know that there's someone in your family that may have some mental challenges, and you also know that that individual may have firearms in that home. Red flag laws will send a message that, wait a minute, maybe we need to remove the guns out of the home. We need to remove we need to get weapons of war out of our communities, period. There's no reason why anyone would need an AR-15 in our normal course of life. None whatsoever. So we need to ban that. Well, obviously, we need universal background checks. One of the reasons our good friends, the Republicans, don't want universal background checks is because it requires you to wait a lot longer before you get your gun. That waiting period is an opportunity to do a thorough background check. And all these, what you're hearing, I've introduced these bills in the State House, and they have not been even given a first hearing. They also need to limit the age to purchase any firearm to 21. Had that been the order of the day around the country, that young man would not have been able to have purchased those guns, the AR-15s he purchased, because he was only 18 years old. And keep in mind, he didn't actually pay for the guns. He took out a loan, and he still owed money on the gun that he purchased. So he used a credit card and paid for some of it, and then he still owed. Then we got the area of there's a number of other areas. Oh, closing the loopholes at gun shows. You know, you see Sharonville has a gun show every year out at the Sharonville Convention Center. And now the problem with the gun show loophole is that a private seller can set up his table at the gun show. A private seller does not require a background check if he sells to a private buyer. So if I walk up to a private seller's table and say, man, I like that AR-15 there, I give him his cash, I give him whatever, and I walk away with an AR-15. That's a loophole within the law. Now, if you buy it from a gun dealer, you have to get a background check, but it's not a universal background check. And so there's so many others that I've mentioned, that I've introduced on. But I just want to give you an idea of the problem we have, and it continues to spiral out of control. And the only solution that the other side can come up with is, well, let's put more guns out there. Now, ever since the Dayton shooting, ever since the Fifth Third shooting on Fountain Square, the only thing this state has done is put more guns out there, made it more guns more accessible. The concealed carry without a permit, as well as the open carry without a permit. Well, here's the problem with all of that. Since you no longer have to get a permit to carry a firearm, that means that when you were required to get a permit, you were also subjected to a background check, a limited background check where the state would do a background check. And in 2021, prior to the law passing, there were well over 2,000 individuals who applied for concealed carry permits. that were rejected by the sheriffs that does the background check. They were rejected. Well, under this new law, not requiring a permit, it allows you to buy the gun and not have to get the background check. So those that would probably have been rejected will not be rejected under the new law. So all of these things they've done, and they've not done have not done anything substantial to be proactive in this situation. They're all reactive, and all they've done is put more guns out there. Mm-hmm. And so we're living in a state where guns are worshipped like they worship God. It's just that simple. And it's not going to stop until more people like myself are put into office to overcome some of the craziness that we're dealing with. Mm-hmm. That's just one area. Now I can talk about some other areas. If you want me to continue, I can do that on something else that you all need to know about.
What's that? Tell us.
And okay, Senate Joint Resolution 5, SRJ5. I'm sorry, SJR 5, Senate Joint Resolution 5. Senate Joint Resolution 5 is a bill, is a bill that was passed that will put on the ballot for November. You all will be voting on changing the Constitution of the state of Ohio to allow prosecutors to not have to have a bond hearing, a detention hearing, in order to hold someone on a high bond. Here's the scenario. The prosecutor's office for decades has been violating the Ohio Constitution on setting bond. You oftentimes hear about something happens and the person says, the media reports, and the subject's under a $1.5 million bond. He's under $1 million bond. Okay. Finally, somebody challenged the bond setting. And they challenged it and said, wait a minute. Bond setting is supposed to be designed to guarantee you that you will reappear in court. And there's two types of bond. There's a monetary bond, cash bond, and then there's a bond to address whether you are a threat to the community. Those two areas. But you got to separate those two, and the Constitution separates them, because if you just limited a bond on holding an individual to a cash bond, you're not addressing the safety of the community, simply because you're saying the rich person can get out. I don't care how much of a threat he is, and the poor person stays in, simply because they know you can't afford a $1.5 million bond. So this change in the Constitution would say, if we vote yes on SJR 5, that will say, regardless of who you are, we're going to put a cash bond on you to keep you in jail until you come to trial, knowing that you can't afford a $1.5 million bond. All that says, though, is that maybe I didn't commit the offense. Maybe I'm just accused of committing this offense. And under the current Constitution and the 8th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, guarantees a right to a reasonable bond in order for me to be able to possibly get out on bond. Now, that's the cash bond problem. The other problem is that the other net by which to address someone who a judge may consider a threat to public safety. That's the other part. It's not the cash portion. It's the judge has a means currently by which to hold you if the prosecutor wants to say that, Your Honor, this individual is a threat to the public safety. What that meant, though, is that you just can't come up on the first hearing and say, Your Honor, I want this person held on $1.5 million bond. You have to be able to show reasonable cause to do that, which basically is a bond hearing. Prosecutors don't want to do that because it means that they have to do some work. They have to do a basic, put an argument before the judge to determine why a judge should hold this person without bond or a bond that is a bond that ties to public safety. That would include ankle monitoring. If the judge says, well, okay, I'm going to restrict your travel, I'm going to take your passport, I'm going to do all these other things, I'm going to make sure that if you are a threat, I'm going to make a decision based on the evidence presented by the prosecutor. They don't want to do that. The resolution that you all will be voting on in November on a ballot initiative will be able to put a cash bond on an individual with the sole purpose of making sure that that individual stay in jail until he comes to trial without a bond hearing. And if you do that, you're going to find a whole lot of African Americans in particular sitting in jail, even though they are innocent. And this is one of the things the prosecutor wanted to argue. When I said to the prosecutor, I said, isn't it true that the Constitution says that you are innocent until proven guilty? His response was that's not what that really means. What it means is that you did. It doesn't mean you didn't do it. It means that you are you're supposed to be innocent. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about?
Right. What's the difference?
So as a result, he made some really silly statements before the committee. And even all of the Republicans had to take a look at each other when he said, well, that's not what it means when they say you're innocent until proven guilty. And in essence, to sum this all up, you are innocent until proven guilty regardless, and you are entitled, I don't care how horrendous your crime is, you are entitled to a bond that's reasonable, and the judge, along with the prosecutor, has the opportunity to ask for a no bond, but you have to have a bond hearing. And I believe there's a situation, I saw it on the news just the other day, where Clyde Bennett has a case where the individual committed a crime. I believe it was out in Walmart or something. He has that case. And as a result, the young man was put on a significant bond, huge bond, whatever. Well, Clyde Bennett has asked for a bond hearing to argue whether the bond was within the confines of the requirements of the Constitution. And the only way you're going to argue that is that bond hearing. And so Joe Dieters was upset with another situation where he argued that this is going to open the floodgate for defense attorneys to start having bond hearings, which is in line with the Constitution of the state of Ohio and the Constitution of the United States of America. So that's kind of what you're going to be voting on. I'm telling you, it's going to fill up your jails with people who may be innocent, who may have a legitimate reason to argue why they did what they did. But in the meantime, if you got to sit in jail and say 8 months later, you come up and the prosecutor says, well, Your Honor, we realize that we want to dismiss this case, some new developments. Well, you sat in jail for 8 months for something you didn't do and had no means by which to try to post a bond because the bond was excessive. So those are two things I want you guys to be out on the lookout for. Guns in the schools, armed teachers with only 24 hours of training. And of those 24 hours, I think there's like maybe less than 8 hours of actual firearms training. And the rest is a whole lot of other stuff within 24 hours. And then the excessive bail situation.
Well, State Senator, I really appreciate the phone call. And when you have time, please feel free to chime in and let us know what's going on.
Will do. Take care.
Have a great day. That's State Senator, Ohio State Senator Cecil Thomas. Interesting. We got to keep our eyes on what's happening in the state, y'all. I mean, it's just so many things happening that impact our community. And we don't just have to throw our hands up and say, oh, they got a majority. It don't always have to be that way. Listen, I really appreciate you. I'll be back and hopefully better than ever tomorrow morning, bright and early at, it'll be before 8 a.m. You know, I'm going to say about 6:30. It might even be as early as 7 a.m. And I'm sorry I can't give you concretely because I'm easing my way back to that 7 a.m. time frame. I just want to go a little bit earlier. All right. I want to make sure we capture as many people as possible. And I want to get up early with you. I'm up anyway. So look for that notification bright and early during the 7 a.m. hour tomorrow morning. And as always, our motto, winners focus on winning and losers focus on winners. So stay focused and stay winning. And we'll talk real soon. Until next time, I'm Nate Ivey, and I'm out.
Yeah. Talking to my mirror like I love you so much. Curving on my critics like I heard you, so what? You can't kill my confidence, I think I'm the man. Tally all the I ever gave on my head. Lately I've been living like I can't take a loss. They ain't wanna help me, that's what made me a boss. You can't kill my confidence, I think I'm the man. We don't give a that's what they don't understand.
I'm back again like flu season. I broke records while loose leafing. I'm coming down my roof, leaving. Don't give a I don't care. Did the for my lonesome. No wonder now I'm on one. No shortcuts on that long run. All I really want is my share. Get on my God, on my tell them it's nothing. In the discussion, all them feelings I throw on my pain on percussion. The disgusting. I hear them bragging about that they did, and it do not move me, not in the least. They ain't been dropping no seeds in the soil, but swear that you almost spotted the feast. I've been on go mode, showboat, rowboat, wave ride. Cool shorty, too naughty, pool party, wet for the face ride. Annie up, penny down, hand me down, thrift store, old drip. New money, too funny, old shorty talking about, oh. I'm on a now, can't get a pass now. I'm a cash cow, keeping it brash now. It's trash now, I'm a spaz out. I've been killing my lows and living on highs. You see in the skies the proof. You could just see in my eyes that there is no lies. I cannot disguise the truth. I've been duck dog, getting in my new merch, color duck sauce on the new couch with my chucks on. Get the on with that hate. I'm big cool on the small chat, cause I know now that I'm all that. Got a hawk guy on the ball cat, get the out of my face.
Talking to my mirror like I love you so much. Curving on my critics like I heard you, so what? You can't kill my confidence, I think I'm the man. Tally all the I ever gave on my head.